Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Drunken Peasants Podcast. This is episode 830.
Do it live!
And we're doing it live right now. And we've got a very special, if you want to call it a debate, conversational episode. And before we get into it, people have been waiting for it pretty much all of the day today. And I want to apologize to Vosh for making him glitchy. I don't know why that's happening.
It's fine.
But,
I think it's QAnon.
But
yeah, Q has hacked the Skype call.
Our attorney has prepared an
our legal
statement.
team says we must read this before we begin.
Okay.
We, the Drunken Peasants, a podcast that covers entertainment, politics, and general oddities from the internet, have a good rapport with both Doug and Vosh and wanted to get them together to discuss their differing views on a variety of topics. We know most of Vosh's fans won't like Doug's views, and most of Doug's fans won't like Vosh's views. The conversation is for the purpose of entertainment. We don't expect anyone's mind to be changed in any significant way when this conversation is completed. This will not be a formal debate with opening statements, time rebuttals, or anything of that nature. We as the host will suggest topics and allow the conversation to flow naturally. We will only intervene when we feel the topic has run out of steam or if one of our two guests is not allowing the other to speak. The channels of both guests are listed in the links below, as well as our Streamlabs link, where we will be taking reasonable questions to ask them after each debate topic. We will not read Streamlabs that include only insults, baseless accusations, etc. So please keep your insults with constructive criticism tonight, guys. Very important.
And I would like to thank Jacob Rosenthal Esquire for writing that for us.
Appreciate it.
I'm so ready right now. How ready are you guys?
We're ready. We're ready. So
does my video look my video looks crummy on my screen. Is it crummy on your screen?
It's very crummy. Like between Vosh's glitch and your crummy video, this should be an audio only podcast.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's crunchy, but we all like a little bit of crunchy food.
Yeah,
I look terrible. You guys are roboing on me. That means I'm roboing.
It's crazy. You're not even roboing, but you were very clear before we went live.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm going to do is leave this call. You guys stay into it, and I'll be right back, and we'll try it again and just see if that fixes the issue. Mm-hmm. So I'm...
Okay, hello.
Oh, hey.
Oh, you look good now. Or I don't know if I still look glitchy, but your frame rate's up.
Yeah, you look a little bit max headroom. Doing the max headroom.
I did my I put up my Sunday best for today. Oh, what do we got?
3 of 5 in the call.
Oh, I can't hear Ben Pye.
Yeah, they have their mic turned off.
I know what's up.
QAnon and Antifa are attacking us right now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
I have a deal with Antifa. They wouldn't attack anything. This is QAnon, okay?
It's got to be QAnon.
So we probably should get into it. Obviously, Vosh, socialist YouTuber, Doug TenNapel, creator of Earthworm Jim, and I would say conservative right-wing YouTuber.
Free market capitalist will go with.
Okay. So first topic of conversation, because I think this will get things going pretty quick here.
Yeah.
So and I see a lot of this content on Doug's channel. So Doug, what's your take on COVID-19 mandates to wear masks and all the restrictions around that? How do you feel about that?
I think they're illegal, but if people freely choose to do them, I think it's fine to do.
Vosh bad.
Sorry, I'll mute that from now on. Sorry, Stephen Hawking interrupted.
That's not even fair to have that button.
Did you mute Doug and not?
Yeah. I got it. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, overall, I think it's, and I'm looking at the science. I'm looking at the data of what is COVID, what are the rates, what's actually happening. It doesn't look like any science that I've ever seen before, so I just assume all of the data is probably either polluted or politicized. And I don't know what to think about it. You know, my parents currently have COVID. My brother just overcame COVID. But I don't know of anyone around me who's died of it. And I know that there's lots of people who do die of it. But I just don't see the hysteria at all or the justification for the shutdowns. I know that there's a body count on that too. So in general, I'm against it. I think if you feel like you need to wear a mask or a hijab, then get in there. But I'm not wearing one.
Yeah, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah,
Vosh, your
so,
turn.
I mean, at this point, we're seeing around 4,000 deaths a day, like a 9/11 every single day, which is pretty extraordinary. I agree that the data, or like the science around this, has become politicized. Unfortunately, that is 100% the responsibility of the Trump administration, which has done everything possible to deflect responsibility concerning their role in the propagation of this virus and their horrendous handling of the epidemiological threat this country faced. It seems to me that the evidence supporting the use of masks to prevent people who are infected or who don't know they're infected but carry it like they're a carrier from spreading it to others seems pretty consistent, pretty fine by me, and I am totally in favor of lockdowns to the extent that they can be enforced. I didn't used to be, but after looking at the data more, it seems like the main reason why small businesses are failing right now isn't because of lockdowns, it's because of the virus. Nobody wants to go out and partake in the local bodegas when they know there's the threat of the virus. The real harm to the economy is something that we can fix with that lockdown. There have been counties where after a lockdown was lifted, there was actually no change, no upward tick in the economic sort of health of the small business sector in that area. So to me, it's a pretty easy answer. Yeah, we got to lock it all down, got to get people wearing masks, and we got to do whatever it takes to get ourselves free of this virus. There are other countries around the world right now. These people are hosting concerts. They're over COVID-19. I don't want this to turn into the America virus where it's 2023 and we're all walking around in biopods while everyone in Europe and Southeast Asia is back to going to parks and spending time outside with their family.
Well, there's been no proof at all that masks work at all. And they've done studies on that I just think people don't understand the way a virus works. I mean, when a virus gets out into a public, it does its damage. It has its curve, and the curve remains the exact same shape from country to country. It might be a little bit bigger in some countries, a little bit lower in certain other countries, but sooner or later, everybody gets the curve because that's the shape of the communicability of the virus. It is not stopped by a mask, and if anything, it gives people a false sense of security and probably puts them out in public if people at risk that shouldn't be. And of course, if you don't have the underlying comorbidities, then you have no reason to wear a mask because it's literally more deadly to have driven your car than have walked around without a mask for the general public who are like, say, under 60 or even under 65.
Yeah.
I see it as, I don't know why the government is so gung-ho on it. I do think, Vaush, this is my question to you that I think is very interesting. Why do you suppose the more woke my friends are on Facebook, the more likely they are to be mask advocates, and the more free market or pro-business someone is on Facebook, the more anti-mask wearing they are?
Yeah.
And that goes for even people at my church.
Yeah, so I can nail this. So first of all, this is incredibly dangerous misinformation. The idea that the virus curve is the same in all countries is factually not true. Like, demonstrably not true. The fact that you would even dare to say that in public is an indication to me that you haven't actually Googled the different curves or you think the information is fake. That's absolutely not the case.
Given I have, that's false.
Oh.
It's literally the same shape. Literally, they have a steep sweep up and a steep drop off. Across all countries.
You can say it's the same shape, except America's had 3 waves and we're currently skyrocketing up, and there are countries that had a small bump and are done with it. So yeah, maybe they're all the same shapes and they all have curves.
Everyone said that France was out of it. Everyone said that LA was out of it.
Nobody
Everyone
said
said that
LA was.
Germany was out it, and France and Germany are right now facing a spike after everyone said, see what they did
There are
worked."
countries
It
like
doesn't work
Vietnam that have
way.
literally been done with it for months. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like in the US, even when we were on the downstroke of all of these like these epidemics, every time we're on the downstroke of a curve, we were very rarely below like the 50% mark of what the peak was. There are countries where it's done. It's over with. New Zealand, Vietnam probably being the best examples, and they achieved that in different ways. So the virus curve is absolutely different. I don't know where you're getting the data that masks don't work. This is, again, demonstrably not the case. That's why masks have been prescribed as a solution to viral infections for like basically everyone. There's a reason why, for example, the flu rate in this country has been way lower this past year, and that's because people are wearing masks more often. So because we're preventing the sort of thing that leads to epidemiological transfers, we're also preventing, the spread of the flu. That's why all these countries, including Vietnam and New Zealand, used masks as part of their elimination of COVID. And then finally, you said people with comorbidities don't need to wear masks. That is absolutely not true. The reason why you wear masks is to prevent other people from getting sick, not yourself. The reason why more woke people are mask advocates and why free market conservative types aren't, it's just an IQ test, basically. I think woke people tend to be smarter. They're much less politically susceptible to misinformation. They have the better information on this. They're just acting on a better set of information. So that's the reason why they're mask advocates.
So you're saying there's no smart people who are against masks, and there's no dumb people who are for them, is basically what you said. And I would say that the intelligence level is equally spread across both. So your explanation doesn't cover what I'm seeing because it's not IQ.
Well, then it would be a stupid thing to advocate against wearing masks, even if you were a smart person.
Yeah.
And it would be a very smart thing to advocate for wearing masks, even if you were a generally stupid person.
Yeah, but that's just name calling. That's not a reason. Saying you're stupid is not an explanation.
I can substantiate it, but you asked me for my explanation, and that's the reason why.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to get really complicated about it, it's because a lot of the conservatives in this country are part of a Trump cult. Trump wants to avoid responsibility for his role in the propagation of the virus that is now worse in this country than anywhere else in the world. So they follow in Trump's lead, and they follow in all the misinformation that he's used to distance himself from the consequences of his actions. Woke people tend not to support Donald Trump. So that's like the... I mean, technically you can be smart and be a Trump supporter, but like, man, you got to work for it, you know?
Sure. What about woke people tend to go along with government and want a superstructure government solution to everything? So when the state tells them to do something, they're more of a conformist, compliant type and more of a bitchy type to go after their people because they're far more judgmental, as we've seen with woke culture. They're far more likely to jump in your grill than a free market conservatives. Maybe that's an explanation.
I don't know what you mean. Like, they like government projects and they're judgmental and bitchy. I don't. There's like a collection. I don't know what the relationship between these characteristics are.
Yeah, well, it's the left say that want to. I mean, I can any number of government solutions. The left is famous for wanting to expand government and have government solutions.
Like what?
Like a minimum wage, like a $15 minimum wage. You're against that, right?
No, of course not.
All your woke friends are against it, right? Because that's a government overage.
What does this have to do with a government overreach?
Well,
I think that a $15 an hour minimum wage is a good idea.
You asked me for an example of a reliance on state solutions to, say, free market problems, and I'm saying that proclivity you'll see across, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm only saying maybe that's another explanation that's probably better than just the right's stupid and the left is smart.
I think the right and the left are both equally okay with government overreach if it suits their interests. So the right is very pro-police, constantly telling BLM protesters that it's their fault they're getting cracked down on. They're very pro-military. And right now, a majority of the conservatives in this country are going along with Trump's effort to overturn the legitimate results of a democratic election. So I would say these are all pretty extreme examples of government overreach. Whereas with left-leaning people, like what you would call government overreach, I would just call it good policy. We're talking about stuff that can be usually pretty mathematically, empirically determined to make people's lives better.
Sure.
Like a minimum wage, like
instead
Medicare
of
for all.
Judging it with a word like government overreach, I'll just call it government expansion. Because you haven't seen a government expansion quite like how they dealt with COVID.
I mean, right now, America's doing worse than like any other country in the world. I think we didn't do nearly enough. There are other
We're doing
countries that did
fine.
better.
We had our death toll last year was lower than the last 2 years prior. It, it swaps out. The seasonal flu is down.
Wait. No, you just
COVID stepped in.
said something incorrect. The excess mortality rate for the past
No,
year,
no,
for the year of 2020?
I said the total. The total death count between 2018, 2019, if you adjust for the normal raising of the death count because the population expands so more people die each year, but it's a constant. And it didn't go up this year abnormally because of COVID. It went up normally. It's actually went at a lower rate than 2018 and 19 before COVID.
So I'm afraid that's not true. Excess mortality is a statistical measure of how many people died in a country over a given period of time relative to the norm for that length of time. So excess mortality over a year-long term would be how many more people than average, adjusting for population, died over this length of time than previous averages. And the excess mortality for 2020 is significant. It is significantly higher than previous years.
I will jump in and say that's correct. COVID became the new #1 cause of death in the United States after heart disease. So all the people that would normally die of heart disease in a year still died of heart disease, and then COVID on top of that.
Well, or they died of heart disease, and because everyone has the COVID strain in them, because that's the way a virus works, they're going to attribute it to COVID because they get $75,000 per case in a hospital. So they're getting paid. Good old-fashioned capitalism at work. They're getting paid to discover COVID cases.
So you've pivoted there. So your initial claim was that there were no additional deaths. Now that you have been faced with the fact that there have been, you're making the conspiracy. Wait, please, if I may. You are now pivoting to the conspiratorial claim that the only reason.
I stand by my original statement that there is no higher death rate in 2020. It was actually higher in 18 and 19.
Okay, now according to the most updated count to date, researchers at the CDC have found that nearly 300,000 more people in the United States died from late January to early October this year compared to the average number of people who died in recent years. So 300,000 additional deaths, 300,000 people had died from COVID by early October. These numbers are overlapping pretty conveniently for my narrative.
You have to look at the total deaths. I said total deaths.
The excess mortality is additional deaths over the total. The total is higher. It's 300,000 higher.
Not if you weigh in the amount of seasonal flu people that died, because now there's not a seasonal flu death because of a stronger or a newer virus tends to take over the death toll and the other normal seasonal flu virus deaths.
Okay.
It's just 300,000 more.
What would you say to someone that would argue that the COVID restrictions are the things that are keeping the flu deaths lower?
Like I said, this has been politicized, so I think you're largely going to get confirmation bias. If you look at an area that puts on masks, and if it spikes, and what I see is 50-50. So a state announces they're going to enforce masks, and half the time the COVID rates are slowed, and half the time the COVID rates go higher. So you'd only find that kind of a statistical readout if it literally had no effect, because just by normal gravity, sometimes COVID rates go higher and sometimes COVID rates go lower. So what you'll have with a confirmation bias is someone enforces masks and they see the COVID go down, and that gets reported in the news as, see, masks work. And then in the other 50% of the cases where they wore masks and the rates go up because of confirmation bias, someone will say, well, they used it too late, or they were rednecks who probably went to a concert and disobeyed the masks. But there's no actual evidence showing either one. So,
wait, can I jump in on this?
Sure.
Do you ever feel ashamed, like lying to your audience?
Well, I think that's a shot below the belt. You can
No,
demonstrate.
the stuff that you say gets people killed. I don't feel like I have to reprise this in any way. No, hold on, wait, if I may, wait, please. I'll give you all the time you want afterwards, but I just have to say, everything that you've said is factually incorrect. It's not a matter of interpretation or opinion.
That's
you're
easy
attempting,
to say.
you're attempting to politicize it because I don't know where you get your news sources from, but the fact remains that if you take a look at the total number of people who died in 2019, and compare it to the total number of people who died in 2020, there is an excess number of deaths which perfectly accommodates the number of recorded COVID deaths. They overlap precisely, in addition to the data which indicates that masks are an effective way of reducing viral spread, because COVID-19 is largely spread person to person in droplets, which you express whenever you speak, because we all have spitty mouths. When you wear a mask, you keep a lot of that from going out. It's not perfect, but it does help.
If we're going to call names, and if I don't care about people's lives, then you're a false fear monger. You just want people afraid.
No, people are dying. How would you wait? I just from my
I didn't
perspective.
Say I don't care that people die, Vaush, but
you're letting them die.
On me. That's
you
not
don't care.
It's not accurate.
If you cared, you wouldn't lie in ways that were so obvious that I could obliterate them by Google searching.
Yeah, you're boring me, Vaush. Look,
wait, I'm sorry. Is the boredom inconvenient to you? Would you rather go back to your large YouTube channel and spread misinformation to an audience with no effort? This is demonstrable stuff right here. I'm sorry if it's upsetting.
I think we might want to move. I think we might move on. We'll move on to something else here. By the way, I just want to mention, give our stream a like if you're watching our stream right now, and subscribe to us. And
please do.
And feel free to come over here, if nothing else, to see Glitchy Vosh. I don't know why it's happening, but it's like, it's interesting. And I said max headroom. Hopefully some of the Zoomers out there will understand what I was talking about.
That was off there, right?
Yeah, I knew you would. So I was watching Vosh's stream earlier, and he was watching Doug talk about the 2020 election and the Capitol raid and that sort of thing. So Vosh already has an idea about Doug's argument here, so I'll let Vosh go first on this, and then we'll let Doug go back.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it's the reason why I'm in such a good mood today, you know? It's because in spite of all the shenanigans, in 4 days, the clouds part, and the glorious Antifa leader Joe Biden, following his legitimate and rightful win in a fair democratic election, becomes the leader of this fine country, and we get 4 years to undo some of the damage that's been dealt in the previous 4. It's very frustrating to me when I am reminded that I share a country with people that are so brainwashed that they legitimately believe there was any evidence provided which indicated Donald Trump was the legitimate winner in that election. The problem isn't that we have different values. I'm sure if we got right down to it, most Republicans and I could agree on our values. We want people to be happy and healthy. You know, I'm not religious, maybe they are. Like, we can suss it out, but I think for the most part we agree on the values. The issue is that we live in different realities. Like, all the value commonalities in the world mean nothing if one set of people is being given a version of reality which is that different from like the one that actually exists. It's very, very difficult, and it's very frustrating to me. I don't know how to argue with that, you know?
Yeah, well, that wasn't an argument, but I do agree with that statement, that I think we have a lot of values in common. Obviously, we want people to be happy or whatever, and then we suss out the differences in the details.
Yeah. I mean, I want people to be alive too. I don't know if that's a value you hold, or bit judging on your COVID-19 takes. But so, I mean, I can't really make an argument because I can't prove a negative, but Joe Biden won. Do you accept him as the legitimate victor of the 2020 presidential election?
I accept him as the president because the government said he was, but I don't think it was legit.
Why not?
I think there was outstanding vote irregularities. I believe it was so close that those kinds of irregularities could very well have swung the election. I think there was a lot of concerns about the compromise, if the voting machines were compromised, if the ground game with dead people voting and things like that. I just think I like elections that are where one guy just clearly smears the other guy, instead of the elections where we get like 51%, or 53% or whatever. I just feel more comfortable if it's a complete smearing, because then it's beyond the kind of anomalies that we see with voting in every state.
But
Were
Biden
you
won by
uncomfortable
7
with
million.
Trump's win against Hillary?
Yeah, Trump lost by 3 million votes. He won pretty narrowly.
That's not true. He didn't lose. He lost the populist vote, but in this country, we never counted the populist vote as Jack Doodley squat.
And weren't the electoral votes about the same for Biden this year as they were for Trump against Hillary?
In the key states that it came down to between Hillary and Trump, the margins were way narrower than they were this time with Biden and Trump. If any margin by which one could say Biden won by a hair's width goes doubly so for Trump, because Trump was way narrower.
I'm not aware of a single state that was won by 15,000 votes like Trump did. And I can't remember if it was Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Georgia, but one of them, it was like a 16,000 vote difference. And I just go, that's just too close. I just don't like it. That's all. That's a preference of mine. I don't like it.
But did you have an issue with it in 2016 after Trump had narrower margins than Biden has?
I would prefer if it was a cleaner, bigger victory. Yeah.
Okay.
And certainly, Trump's opponents would prefer it too, because they ran so many claims of vote fraud. This is a bipartisan issue. This is Democrats and Republicans agree that vote fraud happens, and I'm talking about beyond confirmation bias. So it's not just everyone maybe wants Biden to win this year. I saw signed complaints about Dominion by Elizabeth Warren that they worried about vote switching and the compromise system. And you saw it in the Supreme Court where not the Supreme Court, but the joint sessions of Congress in 2016 when they seated Trump. There were states that stood up. They couldn't get a senator and a congressman to undersign it, but the people themselves came and brought the exact same kinds of claims before the joint sessions of Congress, and they were Democrats. So only saying it's not a right-wing government, love stupid people. It's bipartisan. People largely, I think, prefer a bigger market margin, and they like better vote oversight. Most people do.
Yeah, I mean, because I want to address that. So
sure.
The idea that voter fraud takes place in any meaningful capacity in this country has never been determined by any organization in the history of this country. Voter fraud is a very low reward, high risk activity. You are risking years and years in prison for one vote. If you're trying to do it with more votes, you are risking severe criminal conspiracy.
Sure.
And there are enough oversights and checks that despite numerous investigations, in this case, of course, we had the Justice Department, Barr came out and he said that, well, not Barr, but the elections fraud or the election security subset of the DOJ came out and said that this was the most secure election in all of American history. It is true that there have been investigations into these voting machines before, but Trump had 4 years to conduct these investigations and make changes as necessary. The fact that he only started whining about them after losing, and that he had lawyers on his team come out and say that they were basically just looking to find the votes necessary to overturn the election, up to the point where Trump was personally calling the Secretary of State Georgia's secretary, begging for votes. This is clearly not a good faith effort to enforce election security. This is very obviously a last ditch effort to not lose the election,
So do you agree that this is the most secure election in history?
It seems to be, yeah, as far as I can tell.
Then I would say that's really quite a compliment you're paying to Trump, because for 4 years he's been working on that system, and it is now, by both parties, at least your party agrees, it's the most secure election in history. So Trump's pretty amazing.
I don't know if Trump had anything to do with the centuries-long traditions we have.
I'm pretty sure he fired the guy who was responsible for it.
Yeah. Wait, in what
way? Lefty, if he did anything in the last 4 years.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I'm not partisan. If Trump did a good thing, I'll praise him for it. However, what did he do?
What do you think of the election? What do you think of the voting? The election? He could have corrupted it. He could have gone and struck a deal with Russia. But instead, he had the most secure election in history.
I'm not going to suck him off for not doing more to attempt to cheat. But you just said that he was the one. Wait, I need to know. You just said that he was the one who made this election secure. What did he do to do that? What laws did he pass?
That was hypothetical. I was just answering your question.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, then there we go. I'll praise him for I'll praise him appropriately for the legitimacy of the comment that you made, I guess.
Sure.
Doug,
Sure.
Doug, do you think that if Trump wouldn't have been so anti-mail-in voting, that he might have gotten some extra votes that would have helped him win?
That's the theory, but it doesn't weigh out in looking at the election results, comparing it to the last time of the vote-ins. When you have a level of votes that are like 98% for Biden on mail-in, that starts to defy the statistics of, you know, you can practically have Trump run in a socialist country and you'd get better than 95%. I mean, better than 5% of that. So I'm just saying at some point it starts to go beyond statistical analysis. That is not a proof, because all that the mathematicians will say is that this is an anomaly. They don't say that it's caused by fraud. They don't say anything like that. They only say all of these statistical outliers. It's weird that they're there.
What's
and then
anomalous?
they find them, and most of them are in swing states. That's all that they'll say. They don't.
Wait,
they can't give a cause because you can't know what happened.
What mathematical anomalies?
Like that Biden got, 95% votes that came in some chunks.
That makes sense to
And
me.
that's just-
if you
that's
have a
just-
very left-leaning county, and then of the left-leaning county, you're selecting only for the people who do mail-in ballots, which Biden explicitly encouraged and Trump explicitly discouraged, it makes sense to me that those ballot drops would be like that heavy towards him. I'm sure we could find counties that went like 95 Trump.
I've read that reason. I think it's reasonable enough. It doesn't convince me, but I think it's compelling.
Doug, I really wanted to get into something I heard you say in one of your recent videos that I've heard many people on the right saying recently, that the people that stormed the Capitol building were Antifa in disguise. Is that kind of summing up what you had said?
Yeah, if I exaggerated it, I don't want to mislead you or anything. I don't believe it was all of them. I mean, I know people all over the ground, and they obviously weren't all Antifa. I only pointed out in that one video I showed that one guy was Antifa.
How was that guy Antifa?
And what's that?
How was that guy Antifa?
I mean, he was arrested for being an agitator for Black Lives Matter and Antifa in 2020.
That person, the person you're referring to, has actually been disavowed by the BLM organization. They have outed him, or sorry, they have accused him.
I disavow him too.
Okay, well, that's great, but they've accused him of being like a literal plant that goes to BLM rallies to try to stir shit and try to get like police brutality crackdown on the real BLM protesters. So I don't know if that guy's like a BLM guy. You also did a video where you said that a guy who was cracking on the window from outside was Antifa, and you said it was because he was skinny. So I don't know.
Because of his what? I'm sorry.
Because he was skinny. You said he was skinny and looked like he played too many video games.
Oh, that's what I describe all Antifa as.
How is he Antifa? There are skinny Trump supporters, aren't there? You're skinnier than I am.
No, because in fact, I said in the video, most Trump supporters look like fat guys who went to a Calvary Chapel barbecue with gray hair.
But you're skinnier than I am.
Is that why you like me, Doug?
Dude, I love guys. I love my fat people. I love my fat people.
Do you think it's a little weird that like there was an attack on the Capitol by political radicals, and you're using sort of spurious accusations to assign people to the political opposition with no evidence? Like, you're kind of worming out of responsibility there,
No, I think if you look at, for instance, they found 12 Molotov cocktails on a guy.
So
I think if you look at who has used Molotov cocktails, would you say more Trump supporters have used them, or has Antifa, who have burned down 4 cities with Molotov cocktails?
People make Molotovs when they want to fight with the police. Normally, Antifa's the one fighting with police. This time, Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building and fought with Capitol Police. So this time, they made the Molotovs.
I do agree that there are definitely Trump supporters in that storm.
There's
and in
no
the
evidence of
violence.
any Antifa anywhere there at all. None.
Yeah,
has
I
been
showed one
provided.
in my I showed one in my video, and you may say that he's been disavowed. I'm only saying I see a reason why they would disavow him. I have no reason to believe that. I mean, they didn't disavow all of the Antifa guys that burned Portland to the ground.
So wait, hold on. I've been to Portland.
Violent. They didn't disavow them too.
Yeah, I've been to Portland. It is still there.
Protesters, Vaush?
Yeah, okay, but we're talking about the attack on the Capitol. I've been to
No,
Portland.
I'm talking about Antifa.
Okay, wait, but There was no Antifa at the Capitol, so you talking about
I know,
Antifa
but
is a
you
total
said
pivot.
that they disavowed him because
the
he was the
one-
kind of guy who started violence
No,
and
no, no, no,
riots.
no, no, wait,
Is
let me-
Antifa
wait, let me
against
be clear.
burning Portland to the ground?
So hold on, you got a lot of things confused. First of all, this
Now-
guy was disavowed. Wait, please.
No.
First of all, this guy was disavowed months ago. Second of all, he wasn't Antifa, he was with BLM. Third of all, he was disavowed because he was acting like a fucking CIA plant. He wasn't disavowed because he did property damage. He was disavowed because he continuously and repeatedly acted against the interests of the protests there. So the only BLM associated person you can find is the least BLM associated person who's ever been associated with BLM. This is a person who has been completely ostracized from the broader movement specifically because everyone thinks they're a right-winger that just goes there to stir shit. This disavowal was done in November of last year. So the idea that this is some last-second attempt at distancing themselves from an Antifa agent that went to the Capitol is not the case. This guy is a far-right op, and always has been, and everybody knows it. So with regards to, like, the Capitol attack, there's no evidence of Antifa being there at all. Period. It was Trump supporters. They're the ones who got 5 people killed. They're the ones who attacked the building. They're the ones who smeared shit all over the halls of our congressional building. They're the ones who threatened the lives of our congresspeople. Like, it's Trump supporters. I don't know why we have to lie about this. If you want to talk about Antifa, I'll defend Antifa. I'll defend the shit that they do. But this is a very, very, very far cry from an attack on the Capitol. If Antifa attacked the Capitol building, they would have been gunned down from helicopters. I just want to be clear about that. If Black Bloc stormed the Capitol building, they would have been melted.
Been called a peaceful protest.
I don't know why you think Antifa don't get cracked down on by the police, because there's actual evidence that police treat Antifa and BLM way harsher than they do Trump supporters. Your like attempt at making it sound like they keep getting away with it isn't true.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. They don't.
I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. America saw it with their own eyes.
The Capitol?
Flat out.
You were there at the Capitol?
Called by Kamala Harris. They said, you know, you're a freedom fighter and keep going.
Wait, were they said? Did they say that about Antifa
We've
or BLM?
watched it all the time. We've watched their violence has erupted and burned, including DC down. They've burned DC. They've burned.
Wait. I like. By the way, I don't know. Wait. I don't. Oh, just one last thing I'd say.
Okay.
I just want to say this. You're pivoting again. You know that, right? We're talking about the Capitol building.
These cities are not burned down, Doug. I mean, I live a few hours away from Portland. It's still there. I live in Seattle. It's still there.
I was in the
talk about spreading fear without reason. This Doug guy.
Was the police department burned to the ground? Was where the mayor let them in?
That was the Seattle, and I was there days after the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone was opened up again. It was taken over. And I was there days after, and they were rebuilding days after. It was not. It was
cleared out too, wasn't it? Like there weren't any people in it when they took it over. It was like an empty. Yeah. So we're talking about storming the Capitol building.
I'll just appeal to the audience and say you can believe these 3 guys, or you can believe what you saw on the news last year of cities completely on fire, a Wendy's on fire, a police department on fire.
We're just talking about.
They burned that Wendy's?
We live there, Doug.
Okay, wait. Yeah, we're just talking about the attack on the Capitol. That's what we were talking about. That was the subject outlined. Like, I understand. I don't know if it's because you lack confidence in your own talking points, but like the Department of Justice came out and said there was no evidence Antifa played any role in the attack on the Capitol. There's no evidence anywhere. Now, the right-wing media keeps trying to push for evidence, like that pathetic attempt at saying a guy had an Antifa tattoo because he had a Dishonored 2 tattoo on his hand, like a video game reference. Because you guys are. I just want to say I'm almost done. You guys.
I never said that. I never said that.
I know you didn't.
I'll debate what I've said. I won't debate what someone else said.
Okay, then if you dislike pivoting, then please stay off of Portland being burned to the ground because we are talking about the Capitol building.
No, but that just shows the proclivity of Antifa. And I'm saying if you're looking for who is violent.
So wait, anytime there's a fire anywhere, it's Antifa?
But that when you talk about Antifa being violent in the other cities, you have to look at the police that were killed in the BLM riots. How many police officers were killed in the BLM riots?
I don't know a number.
Because I've looked and I've found 0, and then the MAGA riot from the Capitol building, we have 1 police officer dead.
Yeah, 5 people died, which is more deaths than have ever been attributed to Antifa.
I don't like even posting the videos of the Black Lives Matter people murdering white people in the streets, jumping on their heads 5 at a time.
Wait, whoa! What are you referring to here?
What's that?
What are you wait? BLM protesters jumping. First of all, again, you've completely abandoned the Capitol argument, so I'll just assume you're trying to hope the audience forgets that. But what are you talking about jumping on white people's
I'm
head?
showing their proclivity to violence.
No, wait, listen, just because Antifa has set a few buildings on fire doesn't mean that every single time there's ever any violence ever, even with no other substantiating evidence, that you can blame Antifa. That's not how rationality works.
The most overwhelming violence over the last year.
That's
probably
not,
a higher percentage.
Okay, we have to drop this because this guy's completely abandoned the point. But I want to know, by the way, what white
probably
people?
A higher percentage of violence even than there are a higher percentage of COVID deaths.
More people died in the attack on the Capitol than have ever been attributed to Antifa over the history of the quote unquote organization's movement.
Yeah, that's absolutely false.
That is 100% true. 5 people died in the attack on the Capitol. That is more than the total number of people who have ever died at the hand of Antifa in decades combined.
No, that's funny.
It's funny. Wait, hey, being a little bit trivial over people's deaths again, my friend. Are you sure you're not secret Satanist who wants to?
I'm not trivial about their deaths. I'm bored with your argument because I think it's so demonstrably false.
You don't even have an argument to defeat, my dude. You just keep saying it has to be Antifa because there was violence. That's not an argument.
It's
embarrassing.
Have a proclivity to violence.
You have a political YouTube channel. People look up to you. Like, is this the level of like care and credential you give to your argument?
Have you seen? Well, if you've ever seen my,
I have seen your
channel,
YouTube comments. It's pretty embarrassing.
And I call myself a barely literate comic book artist. Is my perspective on my politics.
I appreciate your honesty.
I'm not coming as a historical expert. It's just my opinion.
Okay. Do you think there's an issue? Wait, I have one last thing to say, and then we have to move on.
Go ahead.
Do you think there might be an issue with people looking up to you for your political takes when you seem to rely on your ignorance as a defense to your inability to defend your arguments?
Yeah, I just disagree with that entire statement. It's all false.
Can I ask about the white people thing though? I just want to know what you're referring to. Black people stomping on white people's head. That's like.
I mean, I could send you videos. I'm saying there were dead people in those riots of people getting the shit beat out of them by protesters.
Like
it was
why
average.
White people? Most of the people who died during BLM were black. Why white people? Are you trying to race bait there? You trying to start a race war?
Yeah, I'm trying to race bait. Good one.
We're gonna lighten the mood.
I didn't think we'd be playing that card so quickly, but I knew.
No, I'm just that dude. You're like black people jumping on white people. I'm like, whoa, geez,
whatever, bro.
We're gonna lighten the mood with a different subject before we get back into the political stuff. I because I've heard Doug's views on a certain thing. And then after that, we've got a few Streamlabs with questions that for both of you guys. But so, Doug, what's your opinion on anime versus Western animation?
Here we go.
I hate anime compared to Western animation. I'm a big fan of Akira, but not much else.
Okay.
I don't know why you thought this would lighten the mood.
Yeah, I like Spirited Away, and not much else.
I like Miyazaki a lot, and I'm not an anime guy, but I thought Miyazaki was interesting, very fun to watch. It's like looking at cartoons, animation in like a different light because of the way the Japanese culture affects it. It's very interesting to watch. Beautiful stuff.
I love animation. I don't care if it's anime or Western. There's more Eastern animation than there is Western. I just like animation. I think it's a cool art form. I've been watching a lot of anime lately. We've been watching ReZero, which is garbage, no matter what weebs tell you, with some good moments. And we've been watching Yu Yu Hakusho, which is like a classic. That was like a 1980s manga, which has been pretty fun. I really like animation. Super good. I'm glad that there's been like a new renaissance.
I did like Cowboy Bebop, and I like the original Star Blazers, the Yamato one from the 70s. I'm a big fan of too.
We're not too different.
I watched that whole series a number of times. I like it.
See.
Yeah, that can be what we reach out across the aisle to.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'll say the Western cartoons are better, here I'll make some enemies, is I think what the Nine Old Men originally, they practically invented that Western form of animation, the Disney studios in the early 1930s when they did Snow White. They were pursuing what is called the illusion of life. And they were trying to emulate through clear silhouette, squash and stretch, overlapping action, successive breaking of joints, appeal. These are all the principles that they had in their animation. I think they really rang a bell of some kind in that art form. that other art forms just don't touch as far as the art of motion goes. If you look at Peter Pan and Pinocchio, it is, I'm not talking about the story here, although I think the stories are better too, but I just think the animation itself, the performance is just, it's phenomenal. It's, and I don't think anime can touch it on a super intimate human level. I think anime does succeed more on over-the-top action and some of the more bigger kinetic stuff like that I'd see in Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or something crazy. You know, it's like it's directed over the top, and I really respect that a lot. But I don't think they can touch.
Doug, I listen to you talk about art and animation, and it's a total opposite than when I hear you talk about politics and stuff.
Well, I know a lot more about animation than I do about politics.
Yeah.
I mean, I teach animation history. I do not teach politics in college.
Was that your voice in the Earthworm Jim game when Earthworm Jim would take a hit?
That was. Yeah, that was.
Okay. That's pretty hilarious.
I think
I also teach writing, and I've directed a ton of episodes, so that's way more my forte, you know.
I think one thing that I get the criticism, because it's like when you watch TV anime has a really, really low budget relative to like the cost per minute that you would get for a movie or like the old Disney movies. So it looks really choppy by comparison. I think the best anime movies compete with what the West has to offer, and the rest of it is like a different type of media where they try to find all those shortcuts. It's insane how cheap you can make anime these days if you outsource all the animation to Korea. The solution to this, is to make sure all these people get more money, which I will solve with socialism somehow.
And by the way, my show Cat Scratch, which was on Nickelodeon, that was animated in Korea. Over at Final Draft.
They got a lot of animators.
Rough Draft, sorry. And when they asked me what kind of style I wanted, I said, I want Chuck Jones Western animation. And the whole crew learned it and did some of the most amazing pose-to-pose Chuck Jones style timing that I don't think many Western animators could even do. So it's a huge credit to their ability to adapt and learn, and they brought their own funk to it also, you know.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with Chuck Jones, he animated like the Grinch animated show, and he did Roadrunner and Coyote, that kind of stuff. I've been to one of his galleries in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's pretty amazing work. We're probably gonna read some of the Streamlabs that we have, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
You also wrote one of my favorite Adventure Time episodes. You wrote Sons of Mars.
That's right.
Oh, shit. Yeah. You're all over the fucking place.
So Penn Ward was one of my kids when I would go and guest lecture over at Cal Arts, and Penn Ward was one of my students. Rebecca Sugar was a longtime fan of mine too, did Steven Universe. So I try and help young talent as wherever I can. Of course, they were geniuses. They didn't need me, but it used to be a much smaller, friendlier, more intimate community than it is now.
I appreciate your contributions to the medium. I'll say that sincerely.
Yeah. I'm working hard, man. I'm doing it.
Doug, do you ever think about making a cartoon adaptation of Alden's Number?
What's that?
Stop. Fuck. Fucking in-joke in my community. Stop.
Okay.
I'd have to have Vosh explain it to you.
No,
I Googled everywhere for it.
Alden's Number.
It's a catch that Vosh does when he asks somebody if they're familiar with Alden's numbers, and they say, "Oh yeah, of course," and then he's like, "Well, I just made it up, so fuck off." But everybody,
I have no idea what Alden's number is.
Yeah, it's a meme, but everybody's bringing that up in our super chats and Streamlabs right now. I just want to get that out of the way before we go in, so I don't have to individually address everybody.
You have my blessing to ignore every single donation and message that has Alden in it at any point.
A lot of people here are saying they're in favor of the $15 minimum wage, even though they make more than that. Happy birthday to Creamsicle, who is saying, I'm sorry, Ben, as much as I will forever love your tattoo muscles. Vosh's dripping socialistic sex appeal is far too much for my pupper puss.
Even with the
I'm
camera
afraid
glitch like this?
That's Creamsicle. As soon as I came back, yeah, Creamsicle asked me to do some weird stuff all the time, but
yeah, Creamsicle
has a
says, I'm
crush.
afraid his shoulder is going to be the one touching my ass cheeks while he fists me from now on. So. Sorry, Doug. Doug and I got left out of this one. I just thought that's very unfair, Creamsicle.
Yeah.
Donate more money to say gross things. Revik says Doug's arguments are filled with straw men. GG. Thank you for that, Revik. Fun employed, yo peasants. I offer you fact check this boomer and his brain worms. You guys are being dicks. I consider Doug a good guy. My mom actually loves Doug a lot. So you're pissing off my mom.
That's
right
crazy.
now.
I love your mom.
Thank you. See, dude, I need to get my mom on the show.
Yeah, get her on.
That would be cool.
Prairie Fire Kowalski, if Vosh is wrong on the virus, we're out nothing. But if Doug is wrong, hundreds of thousands will die.
Wait,
Much
I'm really
like
sorry.
with
I have to use the
climate
restroom.
change-
I'll be right back. My bad.
For sure.
Sure.
Much like with climate change, all conservative party globally agree to it, but the GOP audience bias is evident. Earlier, Doug, you were saying why would woke culture be more likely to say to wear masks, pro masks, right? And I think that the answer was that they're probably smarter, and I think that's that was a bit much to me to say, but I do think woke culture probably is more compassionate, right? Like they think more about like the people around them, but based off you don't think there's more social compassion in woke culture than there is in the self.
Okay, let's just talk about what their compassion looks like.
Yeah.
Their compassion looks like elderly people not able to visit their spouse while they have COVID and die alone. That's what their compassion looks like. Their compassion looks like people not able to attend wedding ceremonies unless, they have a certain number of people clamped down while Gavin Newsom goes to wine country for an expensive dinner. That's what their compassion looks like. A spike in suicide rates last year like we've never seen before. Complete isolation of human beings like we've never seen before. Beautiful people covering up their beautiful smiles like we've never seen before. A spike in depression like we've never seen before. A worldwide economy that is being crushed by American business, no longer able to help give our funds to feeding people around the world, which is causing more starvation, more death. That's what the compassion looks like. So I know that people feel more compassion on the left. I'm only saying the facts don't bear out that there actually are compassion.
400,000 dead, by the way. Other countries have already fixed this. We can't get rid of these problems until we get rid of the virus. We know what gets rid of the virus. It's that simple. We just have to do it. What sucks is we're actually doing the worst possible thing. Trump has actually taken us down the worst road. Because if we did nothing at all, no masks, no lockdowns, whatever, people, would be suffering miserably. But at least we wouldn't have to deal with the lockdowns. But if we half-ass the lockdowns...
He did do 4 vaccines in 6 months, thanks to private industry, thanks to 4 privately held big pharma countries, and thanks to
that wasn't Trump, that was them. But
thanks to his deregulation. No, we've already gone over this. That even if Trump does it, he's not going to get credit for it.
But he didn't do it. You have to find an example of him doing something that I don't give him credit for that argument to be legitimate. Because if he ever did anything good, I would give him credit for it.
Okay. Well, do you realize that he did remove a lot of the hang-ups with the trials?
Yeah, I think he allowed for an expedited vaccine testing process, which was good. I feel like any responsible president would have done the same. That feels like a no-brainer in my opinion. But I am glad that he did it. And you're not going to get me by saying private industry did it, because you know who in those private industries makes the vaccine? Workers. Common proletariat. So they're on my side.
The government shouldn't own the means of production.
Well, I don't mean the government. I think the people should own the means of production. I'm not a big government guy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we have to get rid of the virus. We're gonna end up with 1 million people dead. It's gonna be so bad. We need to get it under control. But it looks like the vaccine is coming out, so maybe that will help significantly. It'll lower the p-value, which means that
yeah.
Doug, have you gotten it? Very few people have gotten it. Have you gotten the vaccine yet?
No, I won't get it either.
At all? Oh, wait,
Nope.
You don't want to?
Well, yeah, I don't want to. I'm going to wait to see what happens, but no, I'm not going to get it. I don't ever get the flu vax either. I don't get anything.
Right. Big boy Bernie Sanders has already gotten it, so you know it's good.
Well, old people should get it. My parents got it, and we should get it out to old people. And that is a huge indictment of the state, too, that we have vaccines basically being thrown away because we can't roll them out fast enough.
Whose state?
Israel has done 10% of the world's vaccines happened in Israel, but our state is so jacked up that they can't get the vaccine out.
I wonder if that'll change at all after Biden seizes control of the apparatuses by which we...
Whether if it changes or not, they will say that he saved the world with his vaccine.
But what if it does start rolling out faster? Like, would you give him credit for that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I mean,
like, you have to want Biden to do well as president, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Doug, it's kind of like how the Bible says in it that people will doubt it, that it's true, right?
Yep.
I can't wait to get it personally. There's so much stuff I miss doing. I miss going out.
I'm not aware of the part in the Bible where it says that that people will say it's not true. I don't know of that. But
it says that people will doubt it in the Bible. The Bible says that people will doubt what's in the Bible. Anyway,
I'm not aware of that. I've read the Bible my whole life. I'm not aware. You'll have to give me the address on
the
that.
Bible was very prescient. It actually predicted Joe Biden's win.
Sure. Well, yeah.
That was the Antichrist chapter, right?
That's right. That was in Revelation, I believe.
Hey, you use that excuse up with Obama. They were all saying Obama was the Antichrist. Now Joe's coming in. Fresh Joe.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Caffeine Joe coming in with lots of energy. Yeah, he'll...
Oh, no, Uncle Joe. It's Uncle Joe Biden.
Uncle Joe, yeah. He's got a lot of names, Sleepy Joe's good. I'll call him Sleepy Joe. I don't like Biden, just so you know. I joke around a lot, by the way. I don't like Biden. I'm a socialist. I'm not a fan of the Democratic Party. I do like the memeing, but yeah.
I feel like Biden and Kamala are the exact opposite of what BLM was going on about all summer. Like they're just not
like institutional corporatists. Like, yeah. Oh, the most fucked up thing they did, by they I mean the Democratic Party. I don't know if Biden and Kamala Harris contributed most of this. Was the Democratic Party was very performatively pro BLM. Oh, black rights, speak your truth, kneel down, whatever, blah blah. And then after we get trounced in state elections come November, all the fucking the DNC operatives get together and they're like, that defund the police rhetoric sure did hurt us bad in the election, didn't it? Maybe we shouldn't have gotten with those fucking BLM people. It's like, holy shit, way to ride the wave of a popular movement and then shit on them in a nanosecond.
Let's ixnay on the police thing, guys. There's a lot of support for them. This is the way that Biden kind of downplayed it. So were you a Bernie guy in the primary? What did you do in the general election?
I support Biden. Yeah, I support Biden pretty heavily in the general. In the primaries, yeah, I was very much pro Bernie.
We're going to read some of the Streamlabs later. We'll get back to those because I wanted to keep things moving. I wanted to ask Doug to start off. You have some views about Google and Apple banning Parler?
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on that? Just so everyone knows.
My take is that the big argument right now is, are they a utility or are they a publisher? Are they a publisher? Are they a utility? What are they? Are they a free open site? And to me, at this point, I'm trying to think of it like a founder. What would a founder think of them? They would think of them as, this is the major way that we communicate now. And this is the major way that we would have to exercise our free speech rights. So I think you could make a case, usually we have a case where, like, I'm not allowed to keep you from going on an airplane, let's say, if you read the Wall Street Journal. We have regulations against that. So I can't say, hey, it's a free market, get on the airplane, but you can't come on if you read the Wall Street Journal or if you have an AOC button. You have to take that button off first. There's laws that protect that. What we haven't considered yet is that there's laws to protect free speech rights with business. And that's what I'm that's what I'm thinking. We need to roll it out when this amount of business controls enough free speech. You have Amazon owning Google owning 80 to 90% of the world's searches right now, and the number of servers that Amazon own that can control communication between free-minded people. And I'm just saying, if you have companies that just say, like Amazon, Google, Twitter, Facebook, if they all said, we will no longer let anyone who voted for Trump communicate, what should we do about that?
That'd be terrible.
Are they a free market company, or is there some expectation that they should operate as a utility that is free for everyone to use?
I hate to break the circle jerk, but I am actually going to agree halfway with Doug on this one. I think the world is a better place without Parler. I think the world would be a better place if I could snap my fingers and just eliminate like conservative thought, but I can't do that. And frankly, nobody should have the power to do that. There is a big issue with big tech and the power that they have to sort of control discourse. In this case, I think the funniest
and this
thing...
is weird, Val, because we start having more overlap now because Republicans are traditionally anti-breaking up monopolies and things like that and more free market. We're saying we have to come in this case because you just can't, and I'm not talking about Parler, because Parler, it can come or it can go. I'm worried more about like me not being able to use my credit card because Visa says, oh, we find out that you're pro-life and we don't want you doing business with us, or I can't use PayPal. And then I get my servers deplatformed like Dick Masterson did. I'm just going, after a while, you go.
I do want to say the only thing that ever got conservatives off their butt to defend some kind of government regulation of the market was them getting banned off Twitter. Like, no, when it comes to like unions or like, you know, OSHA or like anything regarding workers' rights or anything, but like getting banned off Twitter, now we have to nationalize the internet. It's funny because if it weren't for the fact that Ajit Pai had nuked net neutrality, this probably wouldn't be as much of an issue. But I mean, we're all swimming in the same shit-filled swimming pool.
Ajit Prop?
Ajit, the guy with the giant Reese's peanut butter.
Oh yeah, from the FCC.
Yeah. So the issue here is that, like, at the end of the day, it is ultimately the legal right of Amazon to not want to provide their servers to Parler. That is their legal right.
Right.
However, the logical consequence of this is that all internet discourse is completely controlled by a hyper PR minded, super duper ultra like publicly friendly corporation that censors all discourse they don't like. And that's not good. There has to be a reasonable middle ground here. I don't think you can completely get rid of like TOS restrictions at websites. Like if you're super racist, you should probably get banned if that's their TOS. I think that kind of has to stay. What we could probably do, however, is find a way if we could introduce like a limited nationalization of internet infrastructure, or if we could guarantee a very basic level of communication. So that way, even if people are odious enough to get deplatformed all over the internet, they're not completely removed from public discourse. And I say that knowing that there are a lot of neo-Nazis who I think should not be in public discourse, would probably also take advantage of that, but it's probably something that we should be able to do for our citizens anyway, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying we need to provide a platform for neo-Nazis. I don't think anyone should have to. I guess there's a reasonable amount of conscience that I would say, yeah, you know, if you don't want to platform a Nazi, you don't have to. But you still need to be able to platform people who you really, really, really hate, like Trump.
How about a publicly funded social network?
Well, are you familiar with Blue Sky?
Is there something like that?
Are you guys?
No.
Vosh, have you heard about Blue Sky?
I have not heard about Blue Sky.
Okay, so Jack recently from Twitter said that they're funding a small independent team of up to 5 open source architects, engineers, and designers to develop an open and decentralized standard for social media. So Twitter's funding that under the idea that it will be open, and they're putting it in the hands of a small independent team. Like it's something to look into. It's the baby steps right now.
My baby step would be, maybe this would be cool. I don't know. I'd need to think about it more. But like, what if we didn't fundamentally change how big tech works immediately, but instead we have a social media platform kind of like WordPress that's managed and owned by the government. The only thing you can do to get deplatformed from there is literal crimes. If you're making death threats or posting CP or any other crazy
inciting
shit like
violence.
That. Yeah. Like really, really bad stuff, you get deplatformed. But otherwise, even with really odious behavior, you're still up there. And it's like a publicly accessible platform. And that way, if people don't want to be a part of it, they can stay on Twitter. But everyone has that like a baseline level of public engagement. Maybe. I'd have to think about it more.
Can we also ban people for spamming the N-word? That annoys me.
Okay. I'll write a letter to my congressman. You know?
Thank you.
It is a tough question. It is a tough question.
All of these systems, where we're at now is like uncharted territory. And it's very hard as we start to talk about what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with a government run anything. I just don't trust the government. I also wouldn't trust anything that Jack was involved with as far as what he claims would be free, because...
So you didn't trust the government when Trump was president?
Well,
no, absolutely not. Absolutely
not. Wasn't that the entire QAnon fairy tale? The entire QAnon fairy tale was that Trump was inside the government to take down the government. He was harping on the lack of trust in the government.
I'm not a QAnon guy. I don't believe any of that stuff.
I'm not saying you are.
I want to get into reproductive rights and abortion.
Oh God.
And Planned Parenthood. Because I've seen you basically say that Planned Parenthood is a murderous organization.
Yeah.
You even accused them of trying to eliminate black people from the United States population.
Now, but I'm lucky that Vaush is going to be on side of this, because he just now last hour said regarding the coronavirus, he was for more people living than dying. He was using that as a judgment of me saying how correct his point of view was, that he's for more human beings living than dying.
Really depends on where you draw the line at a person.
This is going to be good to test just how compassionate he is versus me.
But I think until you can consent to live, that we shouldn't force you to be alive.
It's not. It's so wait. If I can jump in, it's not really a personhood argument. Personhood is highly philosophical. Religious definitions are not really inherently any worse than scientific definitions. When it comes to when a person becomes a person, there's not really a right answer to that.
Well, as the only pro-science person here, science says human life begins at conception. That is what they say. So you can argue who is pro-science.
Wait.
So here agrees.
Let me lay the argument out if I can.
That human life begins at conception. Who here is with science?
I agree. Life
right?
exists at conception.
Yeah.
Okay. So
here comes all the endless caveats now.
The real argument here,
caveating, as long as you're caveating for your life, that's interesting to me. But you have no right to caveat for someone else's life and go, well, if the mom really wants to stay in college, then maybe he's not so alive.
Okay, so hold on. Wait, hold on. So first of all, I need to correct this, okay? While it is true that conception describes the creation of a biological entity, scientists make
why use those words?
Because
it's a human life, you're a biological
because the terms human,
a mass of neurons and molecules. It's true. No, it's called a human being.
The terms human and life are both extremely loaded and very philosophically contextual.
And scientific.
That's why.
Also,
hold on. That's why scientists. You will
it.
not be able to find any scientific journal which describes when a human life begins. You will be able to find journals which describe when components of biological.
I can find you.
Wait, please. Wait, hold on. This is a nuanced.
Okay.
I'm not pro-murder, man. This is just a legal argument from my perspective. So you're never going to find a scientist say this is when human life begins, unless it's their personal opinion. But you're not going to find a journal on it, because there are a lot of really weighted, like, what is it, life? Like, is a life when the processes begin? Is a sperm alive? Like, technically, it's autonomous, but it has its own genetic material. Whatever. It gets complicated. The question is whether or not there are legal reasons why it should be considered necessary that people should have abortions be accessible to them. And to me, the argument for this one is relatively simple. Ollie did a video on this. It's so difficult to reiterate, but the basic gist is a fetus is dependent on your body to live. Obviously, you can't just eat that shit and it's fine on its own. It needs your body. It is colloquially a parasite. I don't mean that in a negative connotation, like it's parasitic, but that is what it does. It feeds off of nutrients you provide to it. And you have, as a matter of your bodily autonomy, a legal right to dispose of or separate yourself from entities which do that to you, even if doing so ends a life. Even if you believe that a fetus is a life, a person, a human being, we legally have the right to remove ourselves from them, even if it's at the cost of their life.
Your and the final thing you said last hour that you're not for human life. You're for ending it sometimes.
So let me give you an example, okay? Let's say Doug.
It's a pretty simple statement. Are you for ending human life or not? Because last hour you were bragging about your superior COVID tactics with wearing a mask, that unlike me, in contradistinction to me, you're for saving human life.
Which do you value more, a human life or bodily autonomy? Your bodily autonomy.
Yeah, you're answering a question with a question.
No, I really need to answer this. This is such a nuanced argument. Please.
Vaush, I'm showing you, first of all, as a fraud, that you didn't believe what you said last hour.
I do believe everything that I've said.
So you have no right to hold that against me, because you are not for human life. You said
you can prevent.
Frankly, looking down your nose at me, going, "Unlike you." I mean, I
want you to follow through on the argument for just a little bit, so that we can arrive at a conclusion.
Yeah, are they 3/5 human? Do they get 3/5?
Do you value?
Doug, I have to stop you. Until that human life can wear a mask, it doesn't count.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Stop. Okay, hold on. I want to run this through, okay? Please. Which do you value more? A person's life or your bodily autonomy? Do you have a default answer to that, or can I provide an example?
Do you mean in philosophy or in action?
Let me this is really contrived, but let me say this. Let's say you're walking down the street and a car accident happens next to you. A person pulls themselves out of the wreck. They're very, very close to death. However, there's some kind of wacky doctor, and they have equipment on them that allows them to inject into you a siphon and start siphoning your blood. Turns out you have the same blood type. It works out, okay? And unfortunately, their only shot at living relies on you continuing to allow them to siphon your blood. You don't know this individual, and you have no legal obligation to them. Do you think that you should be forced to maintain that connection to this person for months? Or do you think you'd have a right to say, "I'm sorry, this isn't my business. I'm sorry. Goodbye," and you unplug it and you allow them to die?
Yeah, but that's a hypothetical so far out of range. I don't even understand how to address it.
I can come up with a less unlikely one if you want, but like in that context, do you think you'd have a right to disconnect yourself from that person?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So what if you? So here. This could actually happen. Well, it wouldn't, because of how our legal system works. But let's say that you live in a rural town, rural.
Well, I'll say this: you don't have a obligation usually to perform a self-sacrifice for someone else. My religion does say I do, but the law, does not.
Okay. I acknowledge that. Let's say that you live in a rural community and you drunk drive. It's like what I'm sorry, I don't think you do that, but like let's say you do it. You get in a car accident, you wake up in the hospital. There are two people lying next to each other in a bed. You're fine. You're going to live. The person next to you is the victim in the other car. Their only shot at living is a blood transfusion from you, a connection that you're going to have to maintain for a long time before they're able to recover. In that situation, we have another factor which is important to the pregnancy thing. It's your fault that person is there. If you get pregnant, unless you were raped, you did have sex, then you get pregnant. I mean, that's what happens. That is important to factor in. But in this instance, it is your fault that a person's life is now dependent on your bodily autonomy being violated. Do you have a legal or moral right to say, "I'm sorry," and get up out of there, leaving the person to die, even though they're in that position because of you?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would have I believe I'd be morally compelled to, give my blood to them for as long as they needed it if it kept them alive.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Especially if I caused it. I mean, that's kind of the thing that changes those two analogies is the one that's most like pregnancy is that usually
you're the one who prompts it. Yeah. But the difference is morally.
And there's a responsibility with every action. You know that. You have to take responsibility for what you do.
Of course, yeah. Morally.
And you can't make the unborn person pay with their life for you to have convenience. I do think it gets complicated in rape.
That may be the case, but legally the state could never stop you from walking away. The state could press charges against you for drunk driving, the initial action, but it could never press charges against you for refusing to allow your body to keep the other person alive. And that is the argument that I make. Whether or not you think abortion is immoral, I do not weigh in on. It must, however, remain legal, because to abandon the legality of abortion is to open up the possibility that the state has the right to enforce utilitarian will on other people from you. You could start to get in situations.
I think the state does have that right in the case of saving lives. I do think it does, and it regularly does.
So you think the state should be able to force you there? Like you wake up from a drunk car accident, it's like, whoops, for 9 months you're in this hospital bed. Like you think the state should have that power to hold you there and to arrest you if you leave?
I mean, I think it's entirely reasonable. I'm saying it's not. It may not be plausible.
That's a overreach of government power that I am not comfortable with.
It depends on if the state wants to get involved if the state wants to get involved in ethics, and it does.
It's just interesting to me that you'd be willing to go this authoritarian on this issue, but you think that like enforcing masks or lockdowns is too far. What about if you smoke and secondhand smoke ends up getting people around you sick, and the government's like, all right, we're gonna just tear out your organs and donate them to other people. It's your fault that these people got sick. Their lives are now on the.
I wouldn't do that. I've heard the same thing where like if there are 6 people who can be saved by your organs and the government just took your life and redistributed your organs, and if you had cancer, let's say you were going to die, you have a right to life that goes beyond utilitarianism. That's where I go against the eugenics program, is I'm not a utilitarian. I don't believe that your life is based on how practical and efficient it is, because I believe a person dying of old age at 78 doesn't lose one bit of right to their life as to the person who's one day old, or the criminal.
That would be a legal consequence of what you're describing, though. If with the illegality of abortion and making it legal to hold people essentially hostage to make sure that they can continue to donate their blood or whatever, what you'd essentially be saying is, as long as the situation here is your fault, the state can violate your bodily autonomy and use your body to keep other people alive, even if it ends up keeping you at great inconvenience or hospitalizing you.
Yeah, but the problem is, no matter what you choose, the state is going to invade a bodily autonomy. So it's going to invade the bodily autonomy of the mom and force her to carry it, or it's going to invade the bodily autonomy of the unborn human being and destroy it through no choice of its own. So the state's going to commit a sin either way. The difference is the baby is the one person who didn't vote to come here. They're innocent. They're voiceless, so they're the greatest minority among us. They're the ultimate lower class person who we need to have compassion toward, and they need someone to advocate for them. And I wish it was the state. I think the state, especially a state that claims life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which is a lie under our Supreme Court and under our Constitution, given abortion is legal. We need to remove that.
Yeah, this is just like incredibly.
We should keep it liberty and pursuit of happiness.
So there's a critical distinction here, and it's that the bodily autonomy of the fetus isn't being violated in an abortion because you don't rely on the fetus's existence for life. The fetus relies on yours. The fetus is the one. If we're to consider both of them agents with equal levels of bodily autonomy, the fetus is the one imposing on the bodily autonomy of the mother. The mother isn't imposing on the bodily autonomy of the fetus. So in that case, the removal of the fetus would actually be a respectful decision with regards to the mother's bodily autonomy, and it would be neutral with regards to the fetuses. But a fetus
doesn't make itself, so it can't be bodily autonomous. It has to be made by 2 other people. So they're already responsible when it is formed. So the fetus becomes the victim. In fact, what happens is the fetus is the only victim.
Can we get the fetus on the stand to defend itself?
I mean,
all of us were once fetuses, so we all went through that process. All of us did. There's not a single human being that we know of that was not once a fetus. So all you're looking at is just a basic understanding of believing in a trajectory and knowing where this thing's going to go.
Yeah, just if fetuses don't have bodily autonomy, as you've conceded, then this is essentially a null argument. The state just can't involve itself in this. This is one of those unfortunate situations. So there are lots of immoral things. I don't believe abortion's immoral, but even if I were to believe that, there are lots of immoral things the state can't really legislate because there's no way for them to do so without inflicting a lot of damage on our legal rights. And in this case, I think that would be the case here. If we really wanted to, we could probably put a stop to a lot of crime if we were to do like Patriot Act 2 Electric Boogaloo and have them just open up all of our electronic data for the government to survey directly and to expand the rights for warrants to be issued. Like we could do all these things,
but they do it anyways. I mean, and there's really no difference in your argument between the baby that is dependent on the mom and after birth. If she has it 2 days later, they're both completely healthy and repaired, and she puts the baby in an abandoned house and just walks away. The baby is still dependent on her, but we try her for murder.
Yeah, why? But because we have to designate...
He's still dependent on her. Is he a tumor or is he a fingernail that we have to clip off? And is it overly burdensome of her? You go, no. Actually, you really should get tried for murder on that.
So this is the what's it called? The fallacy of the what's it called when you can't find like the line. The issue is at some point we have to designate an arbitrary point in time at which somebody assumes responsibility for the well-being of the baby. Once a baby is born or a fetus is born, it's no longer directly physically dependent on the nutrients that it receives from the womb. And for that reason, it's kind of in a different category. Now, I do think that it is immoral and should be illegal to just leave a freshly born baby somewhere where it's going to die.
But you still can't stop it. Like you said, you can't stop the woman from having an abortion. You also can't stop the woman from, technically you can't stop it from her leaving it in the building. You can't, that was your other argument was that you can't stop it.
It's not that we can't stop it. We can arrest the woman if we need to. The issue is
that
we can't,
her when she aborts a baby too.
We can't make abortion illegal without implicitly threatening our right to bodily autonomy in ways that have a lot of really scary consequences.
But like I said, dude, this is already you're begging the question.
That's
because
not what
the question is, begging the question, is it alive? Is the being alive? And so by
whether it's alive is irrelevant to the legal argument.
You've already run over that being's bodily autonomy by destroying it.
No, whether or not it's alive, obviously it's biologically alive, but whether or not it's alive or a person or a human. It is in fact
scientifically human life.
Whether or not it is irrelevant to the argument that I'm making with regards to bodily autonomy. It is relevant
because there's two bodies that you have to consider, and you're only making the argument based on one.
No, so
that's begging the question.
Yeah, because the fetus's bodily autonomy isn't being violated by the mother.
It's not being violated by the mother when she walks away from it being, it's still a bodily
because at that point the baby is born and we
completely dependent on her, and she goes, I'm not going to subject myself to slavery, I'm walking out.
We're kind of stuck on this
point.
I
just want to say there has to be a designation where we change the way we treat fetuses / babies with regards to their bodily autonomy, and the point of birth is the most obvious one, like for very clear reasons. It's no longer dependent on the womb.
I think the obvious one is the point of conception.
No, but you can't do that without violating the bodily autonomy of the mother.
I know, but Vaush, you just now told me 2 sentences ago that the line is arbitrary. So is it arbitrary or is it an absolute?
No, the line is arbitrary after the point of birth because before the point of birth, the fact remains that the bodily autonomy of the mother is being violated if the state forces her to continue to carry a child to term. Now, if you really want to, I'll take the hard take. You could justify philosophical arguments for post-birth abortion. If you really wanted to try, I don't. And frankly, I think it's not necessary to split hairs there. If we're going to make the decision that, hey, this is no longer a point where we're going to make this argument, birth seems like the logical one. Plus, after birth, there are other things you can do with the baby you don't want. You can put it up for adoption. What are you going to do if it's in your womb? You either abort it or you deal with it for 9 months, you know?
Well, no, because now we have babies that are born able to survive after 5 months. So the idea that you can't remove the baby medically, but a woman has a right to a dead baby in this country. The Constitution protects her because they could say we could legally remove this thing and it would live. And they go, no, she has a right to that thing being dead.
I don't.
That is a constitutional abomination under this country.
You're using a lot of really loaded language. Look, if instead of aborting,
so civil rights for the handicapped. I'm just saying it's all loaded
wait, hold on.
language.
No, you don't have to advocate for civil rights using loaded emotional language. And additionally, if you would rather, like, instead of aborting 6-month-old fetuses, instead you like deliver them and like artificially incubate them or something, then that's fine. Sure, we can do that. Like, as long as the mother has the right to get it the fuck out of her womb.
I don't get why you have to cuss. It's not that big of a burden. It didn't do anything wrong.
Wait, come on. You can say the fetus didn't do anything wrong,
Vosh,
which is true, but you can't say
cuss in front of the fetus, Vosh.
You're right. I apologize. It was most unbecoming
I
of
checked
me.
the box that this was
baby
stream was for kids only.
This is for kids and fetuses only.
I don't have a uterus, but I'm pretty sure that carrying a baby for 9 months has a lot of downsides to it. I'm pretty sure that's like a thing that people shouldn't have to have forced on them by the state.
It's not forced on them. Most people freely choose to go in and perform the function that causes it, and then like all of our little snowflake millennials, they don't want to face the repercussions of their decision, and they want to take a pill and make it go away, make someone else pay for their own lack of responsibility.
It doesn't. Wait. You can make this as much of a boomer argument as you want with all the like millennials won't take advantage of their shit. First of all, people in your generation were still getting coat hanger abortions back before my father was born. Okay, so I don't want to hear it about. I don't want to hear it about our generation. Okay. Second, wait, hold on. Second of all,
numbers so small, they're nothing compared to legal abortions.
Not
also,
true.
All of you guys discredit yourself because you were all born. So unless
there's so many stupid arguments here. First of all, being born doesn't mean that you can't take a principled position on the legal arguments surrounding abortion.
Well, very easy for you to take away the rights of someone else.
They're not. This isn't right. You're the one arguing to take away the rights of living women.
Yeah.
Doug,
one of us is
just like, wait, can I read a quote really quickly without being interrupted? Sure. I really like this quote. This might be my favorite quote ever, okay? It's the only quote that I'll ever read that I like that has anything the fuck to do with babies, okay? The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated. Unlike the incarcerated, the addicted, or the chronically poor, they don't resent your condescension or complain that you are not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question the patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or childcare. Unlike aliens, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage that you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships, and when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. It's almost as if by being born, they have died to you. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn. The frustration that I have with these arguments is you're trying to posture as some advocate for the rights of a marginalized group when your entire political position is about shitting on everyone else. I've read up on you. I know that you deliberately misgender, trans journalists who you don't like. I know you're anti-BLM.
Bullshit.
I actually wanted to move into
hardcore bullshit.
So
that was my next
and
topic.
I promise you, I'm at the cliffside. I'm almost done.
Okay.
It frustrates me when somebody who has made a point to reject all forms of civil responsibility or advocacy for the oppressed is going to like take a hill on this and advocate for removing women's rights to have an abortion as though you are the one like defending rights. It's actually really disgusting.
And I think it's equally stupid to claim that you're for women when women who have abortions
and
have
trans
a
men.
much higher rate of suicide than they ever did with coat hanger abortions. You're not pro-woman. You're for killing the mom. You're crueler to moms.
Whoa.
And you want to no, I'm just reflecting the way that you just now talked is impugning.
That's what you're just making shit up
character for your position. You have no idea what my family has done for the unborn, what my family does for people.
How can you do anything for them?
The
They're
money
unborn.
that I made on my YouTube channel, the $150,000 I made in the last 4 weeks on my YouTube channel, we will donate a tithe of that to a local pregnancy clinic, about $15,000.
Okay.
And that money will probably save 3 people's lives. 3 people
this is virtue signaling,
who
right?
wouldn't have come into this life with your politics.
Do you support welfare
when-
programs?
When you say
Now, when they grow up, you can go and tell them how selfish I am and how little I care about them after they're born. But between the two of us, any unborn child
do you support welfare
would
programs?
hope they lived in a country with my philosophy over
Do you
yours.
So is
support
this,
welfare?
Doug,
Wait. Hold on. This is
Okay.
funny because like 3 lives saved versus the 400,000 dead, but we don't need any lockdowns. Wait, I'm sorry. Do you support welfare programs? What about any tax reductions for like new parents?
I'm sorry.
Or what about an expansion of
400
public education?
400,000 COVID patients, but 1 million abortions, moron.
I'm sorry.
1
I was
million.
That you have
wondering,
personally
you-
stopped.
I was wondering if this,
And Vaush, listen
He can't
to me.
answer the question,
You
by the way.
don't care, Vaush. You don't care.
All right.
Okay,
I
so-
was just kind of wondering. Oh, I'm sorry, Vosh.
I just like the quote when they're born, it's as though they die to the advocate for the unborn, because this guy doesn't
Yeah,
give a
that's
fuck
very-
if
to me,
children
that's very
starve
mean
6
time,
months
whatever.
after they're born. It's a huge virtue signal for people who like to
What
pretend
is
they
this-
embody the religious values that they virtue signal about. It's super
Well,
pathetic.
whatever. Yeah, and you know
This is
what? You know what?
pregnancy
You don't care
clinic,
about
Doug.
people with masks either. You just get off on telling people what to do. That's just impugning someone's character. Who cares? It's not an argument.
Doug. I was wondering, this pregnancy clinic, is this the thing a woman has to go to by law before she gets an abortion? Is that what it is?
No, not in this state. Any woman can go to either one. But what they do is they do give you an ultrasound, and they offer the woman counseling, and we give them free diapers and clothing and a place to live if they need it. And it offers them an alternative to Planned Parenthood is all.
Could you put an extra 1,500 down for those 3 kids in like an annuity fund or something? So when they turn 18, they got a little cash, go to a strip club or something.
What about Medicare for all?
The first job is to bring them in alive, and the next job is to get them in college.
So, Doug,
Yeah.
I want to throw a couple terms at you. You
18-year
tell me
gap.
what you think.
Sure.
Doug, how about gender abolition? When I say that to you, what do you think about that, Doug?
I don't know what that means, but let me see if I can unpack it. So you believe in the abolition of gender, meaning we no longer talk about the differences between bis and trans and whatever, and just kind of admit that it's all a giant gray kind of scale that anyone can choose whatever they want, no matter what gender they actually are by biology.
Do you want to answer that one, or shall I?
I was just kind of setting it up.
I think that's in the ballpark. Yeah. I mean, sex and gender
Yeah.
are different, obviously. Like a penis is different from a vagina, but the fact, like you can be born with a penis. Like, yeah, I'm a woman. Like nobody really gives an issue about it. Gender doesn't matter at all.
I'm a level of gender neutrality and a gender abolitionist that I say, why not just call a penis a vagina and a vagina and penis? Or call it a nose and a heart, and then just tell the doctor when he does surgery on you, I'm having a penis attack, and you clutch your chest, because these objects have no meaning. They have no.
The funny thing is,
associated with
no
them.
matter what you went to the doctor for, you could technically say I'm having a dick attack. Yeah. So I don't know what the meme was. Trans people generally call like penises, right, and like vaginas. That's all like biological stuff. It's mostly about like identification and how you're treated by society.
Well, but they do say men can have a period and that men can have a baby. Mm-hmm. So I that's kind of like calling a penis a vagina.
Men with a womb can
point.
do those things. Yeah. Like they'd have to have the womb, of course, but they could do it. Yeah.
No, a man when he gets his operation done, he does not have a period. It does not he does not get a uterus that builds up compounds that are made to feed a baby, and then once a month it doesn't get flushed out. No, that's not what happens to men.
There are men who have gotten pregnant. Yeah, they're just trans, like they're assigned female birth, and they're like, I'm a man. Play him.
It's just the sexuality stuff. It's just become such a freak show that
can we get
really anyone can.
Wait. What's the freak show? Wait, hold on. We're all pro freedom here, right? What's wrong with letting people decide what they want to do with their life?
I'm fine with that. I'm saying if someone else says I'm a rabbit, I don't have an obligation to feed them carrots and call them a rabbit and bunny boy. I can just say, no, actually, I'm autonomous too. You're autonomous. You think you're a rabbit, and I'm autonomous, and I think you're a human male.
Okay, gotcha. By the way, you are legally obligated to call rabbit people bunny boys. That is something that you actually have to do. Okay, let's unpack this. So that was the attack helicopter joke. So Do you recognize that there is a difference between gender and species? That these are different things?
You mean gender and sex?
No, gender and species. A species is a very specific biological delineation which you can empirically defer to with regards to genomes and hereditary behaviors and a bunch of other really complicated stuff that's beyond me. That's not my major. Whereas gender is a series of social norms and collected sort of responsibilities and expectations which are associated with sex. Yeah. So if a person said, I'm a bunny rabbit, that is a factually incorrect statement unless they're a bunny rabbit and they can talk. Whereas if a person said, I'm a woman, as long as that was a thing they believed to be true, that's a true statement.
Yeah. My problem is using the word gender. Gender, it had one meaning, which is what I believe it as, the classic meaning. And then they invented a new word called gender, where they said that it meant whatever you want to feel about sexuality, you can identify yourself as. So back when I was raised on a farm, in Turlock in 4th grade, and they would, you'd have to gender chickens to find out, if you got to put the rooster with the hen, you'd gender them, and you would check their genitals, and you go, oh, this is a male, and this one's a female.
I've always heard it as you sex them, like I sex my
them
lizards.
Also, yeah, you sex them. That's another word for it because the words used to be interchangeable. And now gender means, you can.
Do you think it's wrong that the word's definitions have colloquially expanded?
Yeah, I wish they used a different word. They should just call it. This is how I think saying I identify as is more accurate because you're saying, regardless of my biology, I project my own personal expression into this, is that I can say I'm a rabbit or I'm a woman or I'm a water faucet. I can be anything I want.
What role does biology have in like interactions between people on a day-to-day basis? Like if a trans woman says, I'm a woman, what information is being lost by way of me not knowing that they were assigned male at birth?
Well, they're not a woman.
Well, sure they are, but like, what am I losing?
Wait, a man that identifies as a woman is a woman?
No, a woman that identifies as a woman is a woman.
Oh, well, a woman that identifies as a woman is a woman.
Yeah, I
but a man who identifies as a woman is not a woman.
That's right. So your issue isn't with the term gender. Your issue is with the concept of people being things other than that which they were assigned at birth, right?
Yeah, and Vaush, I'm only suspicious that they took the word gender the same way they took the word marriage. See, the left tries to win arguments by taking words and vocabulary. They play little word games, and then they say, and then they try and abolish the original. They go, see, there's no such thing as just man-woman marriage.
What do you mean they took over the definition of marriage?
They invent words, and that's how you win an argument, is by inventing a word.
All words are invented. The word marriage was invented by humans. Like we made it up.
But you know what I mean by new invention of words that don't exist. It's like if I walked around and if I popularized the word Christophobe as all people who turn down Jesus Christ are Christophobes. You're a Christophobe, and these other boys aren't Christian. They're not followers of Christ. They're Christophobes. You go, I'm not. That sounds like a medical condition. I'd go, yeah, it's an irrational hatred of Christians or Jesus Christ.
What if it got entered in the dictionary and people started using it colloquially?
Yeah, I still wouldn't buy it. I'd go, you know what? That is obviously a word made up to win an argument.
Wait, but that's how words work.
And it doesn't have. It didn't earn its way through the normal forms of like growing up through Latin.
I think if it
and having an accurate term, you have to defy the word. You have to end up having to destroy the word Christophobe because it has no real meaning.
We're talking over Skype right now. All of the terminology which describes online behavior and interactions has been invented in the past 30 years. Like, we're right now we're using a medium. The language which describes it is entirely divorced from the Latin language.
Sure.
So is email not a word? What about like cybersecurity or like
No, my problem is in that they steal words that already exist and recombine them. So if I say marriage? Look, I mean this as a total compliment, Vaush, you're a Nazi. I mean it as a total compliment. It means nice guy where I'm from, Nazi. You'd go, hey, I know what that word means. And I go, no, you don't understand. This is the way we all mean it now.
Okay.
And you'd go, well, why did you do that?
But so I understand the argument that you're making, and it's that the left, rather than making like the moral arguments, will just try to sneakily redefine terms. The issue is that, like, with regards to marriage, same-sex couples have been fighting for marriage rights for nearly a century in this country. Well, in reality, quite a bit longer than that, but in the public space around that time. The idea that the left just, like, sneakily redefined the term is not the case. They've been pushing for it very hard. Many of them lost their lives to it in riots and in fights with the police and in poor treatment from the government, like with the HIV crisis. So to say that it just got, like, snuck in is not the case. The 2015 decision by the Supreme Court was the end result of an incredibly long and hard-fought battle on the part of marginalized people to fight for their civil rights, which they got.
Well,
how is that bad?
The courts can still recognize or claim to recognize that a man can be a woman.
What does that mean?
But that doesn't mean that a man can be a woman. That's all I'm saying. Is I get it that the new definition of all these gender abolition and stuff, the idea that you can destroy it. Men will still always be men, and women will still always be women.
Hold on.
And facts are just a bitch. You can't get around.
I don't know what facts you
Two
think
men
trans
can't
people
make a
are.
baby.
Okay.
Two men can't get married.
Please. The spiel. We all know what you're going to say. We've all heard every sentence of it.
Period.
Though, Doug.
So,
and a woman can't have a penis, and there's two genders.
okay, thank you. So you completely
female
backed off.
orgasm is a myth.
You completely backed
Yeah,
off
that's it.
the gay marriage thing. Like, you completely backed off of it because you knew your argument was fucking stupid. So your qualification initially was the word was stolen. Notice how you're not actually making a prescriptive argument. You're just arguing that it was like sneaky of the left to redefine words. Marriage wasn't redefined like as a term. Only
I don't know if it's sneaky or not. I know it's what they do. It's a fake way to win an argument.
It's not a fake.
You just change the word.
Wait, no, stop. You aren't like the victim of a conspiracy. You just lost. The majority of Americans support same-sex marriage now. It's done.
I do not care if all of America
This is how
Jesus
language
is God
works.
and you have to be saved. Would you agree with them? No, of course not.
But these aren't matters of empirical consideration. The definition of marriage isn't empirical. Where did we find the definition of marriage anyway? Did we find it like inscribed in a stone tablet? We made it up. We made the word up along with every other word that exists.
Sure, and you can make up the same way you made up the word homophobe. Maybe it has no fixed meaning.
You say
It might
nothing
just
has
be-
fixed meaning. You say so much dumb shit. We just need to go by point. Okay, so with the gay marriage argument, I don't know why you keep acting like this was some like sneaky effort on the left to redefine words.
Fine,
the question was marriage is both. Wait,
I don't know where you're getting off.
Can I finish a point without? I know he's like super mad, but I need to get through this. So
no, but you keep dominating. I'm sitting here waiting for you to end, and you go off on a rant. You call me stupid. You don't make a point.
Okay, I'll call you stupid less. I'm sorry, that was rude of me. So, with gay marriage, this wasn't any redefining words. The term marriage referred to matrimony and a bunch of legal shit between two people, and now it's been expanded so same-sex couples get to benefit from that as well. It's very, very simple. This wasn't like some Orwellian redefining of terms. With regards to trans people, men and women or whatever, we recognize the fact that gender and sex mean two different things. We know that because words only exist insofar as we define them. And as far as I can tell, I won this argument because according to the dictionary and basically every medical institution on the planet, gender and sex mean two different things. So let's operate in this reality, the one where they mean two different things. So in a world where they mean two different things, in a system where we can decide which outcomes are most beneficial to people, it seems like the best thing that we can do for people who are born with penises but feel like women, who they want to live the lived experience of a woman, is to call them a woman. We're not saying they don't have a penis if they have a penis. I guess you shouldn't say that like in public for no reason because that's kind of rude, but we're not redefining anything. We're not redefining terminology. In reality, what you say defines a man or a woman is not the historical definition because the current definition used by people.
Do I have an obligation to acknowledge the historical definition? I don't care. I'm not going to call a woman a man.
You just said it has to be Latin. Wait, where are your standards coming from?
Dude, you just now came up with all this arguments for why women should be autonomous with her body. Shouldn't I not be autonomous with my own mind? And if I think a woman is a woman, if a person has a vagina, they're a woman. Why do you not let me have my own autonomous body now?
Do you think I'm trying to legislate out your ability to be a transphobe? You
No,
can
it's
do
much
it. It's
easier
a free
just to
country.
get all my people fired if we disagree.
Yeah,
That's
wait,
usually
yeah,
what
and
happens.
you have a legal right to be a racist as well, and you might get fired if you are. Like, yeah, that's how it works.
Well, you have a legal right to murder babies, so who cares?
No, I don't. I have a. If I had a womb, then I would have a legal right to an abortion. But even that, we're starting to lose.
Yeah, well,
So earlier you said that all words have to go through like the Latin process. You realize that nowadays most transphobes define sex and gender as being chromosomal. People didn't know what chromosomes were 300 years ago. So obviously the definition of what a man and a woman mean changed differently. If you look at Greek and Roman literature or Norse literature, their understanding of what differentiated men from women was incredibly different to what we do today. If you go in other cultures like India, you'll find some shit that like some crazy fucking shit compared to what we have today. And all of this is equally
one thing
correct.
that I know is that every single one of us were born of one man and one woman.
So you're
now you can
not
say
engaging with
that
the argument.
you were
You've given up.
born of two dads, or a dad and a dog, or a dad and a unicorn. I don't care. I know what a man
Do you need
and
a
a woman
nap?
is.
Do you need a sippy cup? Are you too angry to engage in the conversation? I can tell that you're not even listening to me when I
I know what a man
talk.
and a woman is, and so do you, Vosh. Now that you participate in a madness of our culture that says, well, maybe my mom is a
now
dad,
you're making
maybe
the
my
spicy
dad
arguments.
is a woman, and maybe two people can have a baby, maybe a man can have a period.
Prove it's delusional.
Now you could enter into that if you want, and I don't care, Vosh, if every single person in the world enters into that. I have no obligation to do it.
Nobody's saying you have an obligation. Nobody's forcing you legally to do anything. So you said it was madness. Can you explain how it's madness exactly? Let's engage with the arguments, because so far you've made very few. You've backed off a couple ones you already made.
Yeah, when you say madness, are you saying like mentally diagnosable? Is that what you're saying?
No, not clinical. I think it is the kind of cultural mass madness like you might see of men thinking they can own another man, let's say, own a black man.
Gotcha.
Or maybe that would,
but they
the
could
kind of
own. Wait, but they
madness
did.
that would think of Jews as
slavery.
rats so you can experiment on them. It's a kind of a madness where you go, hey,
Trans people is like the Holocaust. Gotcha.
hey, a man can be a woman. That's madness.
Okay,
I
wait.
think
No,
that
hold
is-
on. Wait, let's run it through, okay? So I'm going to challenge you to make this argument without relying on definition, because you've already acknowledged that A, words are subjectively defined, and B, you'll hold on to your principles no matter how many other people on earth disagree with you. So your argument isn't your argument isn't definitional.
Is a thing.
So your argument isn't definitional. So I have to ask you, why can a person with a penis not be a woman?
Because women don't have penises.
Why not? Can you find me a dictionary definition of woman which includes that?
I would only point to your mom. Did your mom have a penis?
I'm sorry, does every woman have to have a penis? I know women with penises.
No women have ever had a penis, and no mom has ever had a penis. I'm just asking.
My mom's had a lot of penises.
I know moms with penises. So these are irrational arguments. So let's give it another shot. Can you
it's irrational to say that a woman can have a penis. I'm only giving you an example of
why?
Because your moms or women have wombs.
Some of them do.
And vaginas. I know this is news. This is what I mean by it's madness.
You're not even engaging, dude. You're lost.
It's like you, Vosh. Between the two of us, you're the crazy person, buddy. You're the one saying that
You're
woman
coming off
could have a penis.
No, I'm asking you, but you can't answer because you know that you have no arguments here. The fact of the matter is,
I'm bored with your badness.
Everything. But I'm asking you. So explain. Okay. So the fact that some women have wombs isn't an argument that some women can't have penises. So why can't a woman have a penis?
A woman can't have a penis because they don't.
Okay, so you know you can't, man. This is so I'm the mad one, but you're the one who has to resort to tautology in order to defend his positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, it's not surprising that you lost in every single academic circle and that every organization around the Western world unilaterally agrees with me. Like, it's pretty crazy. That's some crazy far left madness right there, you know?
Yeah. Yes, it's true. One of us is mad.
Okay, just, circular reasoning is like irrational, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Doug, let's
I'm not going to give your mom a penis. Like, it's not going to hurt you if you accept trans people.
Doug, let's say you were dating. Doug, let's say you were dating a woman, and she was lovely, and things were going really well, and you got to a point where you were making out with her, and you reached down and she had a penis.
What's the next step?
Yeah, what's like?
We're gonna get
do
the
you
trans
have
panic
to,
defense.
At that point, since she was able to convince you she was a woman up until that point, are you obligated to finish off the date like a gentleman?
No. I would say, you know what? You misrepresented who you were. You represented yourself as a woman, and I thought I was dating a woman, and now I'm dating a man, and I'm out.
Wait, how do they misrepresent themselves what if you never actually asked a cute, like, feminine person at the bar whether or not they were a woman?
Well, I generally don't. I mean,
yeah.
that's
So
not the way
what?
we
So
usually
what
conduct
reason
ourselves, but-
what reason would she have to believe that she's doing anything misleading with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than it would be no different than a gay man who is attracted to men, and he was dating what he thought was a man, and then he finds out that this man is actually a woman posing as a man, and he'd go, you know what? I want to bang me some men, and we're done. I'm into gay. I'm gay, and I'm into men.
Do you mean? Why don't you just use the term? So even if you hate trans people, why not just say trans man or trans woman? It makes your statements much more understandable and much less.
I'm not going to play word games.
It's not word games. It's just easier to understand what you're saying. You're like, when a gay man sees a man who he thinks is a man, but is actually a woman in disguise. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking. Are you talking about a trans guy or like a drag? Like, I have no fucking clue.
I'm not going to be primitive like you and try and project what sexuality they have. Maybe they're just a cross-dresser, a straight cross-dresser. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, there are straight guys who dress up.
Yeah, so don't project onto them that they're trans. They could be any one of 78 genders.
Wait, that's why I'm asking you to use better language.
76, son. I know that you're stuck on 2. I'm just saying, you got to open your mind, bro. It could be one of 78.
Wait,
Doug, you ever cross-dressed before?
No.
Wait, not even once?
Wait, yes. In college,
Okay.
In college, we did a band lip sync competition, and we picked a girl band, and so I did wear a dress.
Did you know that in ancient Greece,
it was the Go-Go's?
In ancient Greece, they actually said it was only gay if you were the one taking it in the ass. So if you were just going around fucking dudes in the ass, that wasn't gay at all. Like that was het behavior. That was king behavior.
I mean, you got to admit that does at least sound better.
Right. Oh, so now we defer to arbitrarity. Okay. So wait, hold on. Let's go forward. Okay. So you agree that you're not necessarily gay if you're fucking some femboy ass. All right. We can move from this. Okay. Hold on. All right. So do you think that it would be gay then to have sex with a trans woman? Assuming you're a guy.
Wait, is the trans woman biologically a man? Or
yes, like the Grecian femboys, they would have been assigned male at birth. Yeah.
I think Doug's computer
You broke him.
Yeah, Doug's computer froze.
Is
Wait,
he frozen?
real?
No, this is what happened.
Or is he just thinking really hard?
He short-circuited because he's like, wait, hold on. His computer crashed when he alt-tabbed and started Googling.
So he wouldn't be forced to answer such a question. Thank you, God, for stepping in.
For a minute there, I thought he was just thinking really hard.
Yeah, he alt-tabbed, Googled femboy porn, and his fucking Christ blocker on Google Chrome torpedoed his fucking hard drive.
Am I back?
Hello.
Yes, you're back now. There you go.
Dang, I thought I lost you for good.
Not for good.
I don't know what happened. I didn't touch anything.
No. Well, then you'd be very unlike a Grecian aristocrat coming back after a war.
Brought me back. I don't know. God, he does.
Okay, I think we exhausted this. What's the next meme?
We do have some more questions that the audience have sent in. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can.
Give me the ones that are mean to me. I fucking love being yelled at.
We see a lot of people talking about the false equivalence of bodily autonomy is brought up. Aren't you hurting the autonomy of the child when you tell them not to verbally harass their peers? Is the agreement that racist language is hurting your mind's autonomy? I don't know.
Wait, we don't. So to my knowledge, the state doesn't arrest
too. Thank you, feed me.
children for being mean to other children. I don't think.
Is an adoptive parent any less a parent than a biological parent in social function?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, I would say no also.
Yeah. How much does like
Can Doug?
same blood come up in your day-to-day process of like raising a kid? Like that's I mean, I was born to my mom, and I have never been in a situation where my biological relation to her was relevant.
The only time children's blood ever came into way when I was growing up was when I went to the liberal sacrifices. Goose Juice says, can Doug say groovy and tender in his Earthworm Jim voice? Also, thank you for Earthworm Jim. Launched the Cow comic. It's very nostalgic to me. Great comic. Loved it.
I loved Earthworm Jim. That shit was so fucking
I'll do a groovy. How about groovy?
Now, instead of tender,
Dude, I was like 30 years younger. I could spike my voice a lot better.
Since you wouldn't do tender, can we get you to do gender?
Gender.
clip it and ship it, boys. Get it out.
Navy Turtles ask, can we bring up men with PMDS?
PM. Is this a Ligma joke? Wait.
I'm not. Ligma.
Persistent Mullerian duct syndrome?
This is beyond my pay grade.
Is it PEMDAS?
PEMDAS.
Wait, okay, shut up. Stop. Here we go.
Stop.
Oh, wait. Males with it is PMDS. Males with this disorder have normal male reproductive organs, though they also have a uterus and fallopian tubes. Oh, shit. I've heard about this. This sounds so uncomfortable.
I remember a long time ago, I was watching one of those hospital dramas on TV. I can't remember if it was ER or one of those, and they had an episode where it was the opposite. It was what appeared to be a little girl, but she had testicles
that haven't descended.
Yeah.
Dude, that feels so uncomfortable. Like, does that make you like fatter? How big are wombs anyway? I don't actually know. Wait, if you punch yourself in the stomach, do you get like an extra pang from the fucking extra organ?
You think maybe I just have like 47 wombs in my stomach and I'm not really fat?
Yes. Dude, you don't know. You legitimately don't know, by the way, at all. You have no fucking clue.
I don't know.
Could be 47.
People want to know. People want to know if Earthworm Jim is going to come to Smash Brothers.
Oh, they're being mean to me. They know I hate that question. So I get it like 100 times a week. Like,
rude. They want Vosh to call them bunny boys.
You're a bunny boy. You're a very good
making fun of me.
Bunny
Hold
boy.
on a second. I have an article here. Woman celebrates wedding anniversary to French bridge 6 years after marrying the handsome stone structure.
That's awesome.
What do you think of that, Vosh?
Listen, I have to say, okay, relationships are tough. If we could all just marry buildings, that's a rock solid relationship, okay? That's a strong.
Your parents were married. You're like, yeah, mom and dad got married. Woman marries a bridge. The word marriage means the exact same thing.
Hey, look, my parents rent, okay? If I was squirted out onto the earth and one of my parents was legal property that I owned, then fuck yeah, that'd be amazing.
Well, they wouldn't make you, so I would hope. I'm glad that you had to.
Oh, you just agreed that adopted children are just as much children as birth children, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Can bridges have? But Vosh, can bridges have penises and vaginas?
I don't know. Have you ever seen a penis sculpted out of stone?
Can they reproduce and make a child?
I don't think they can reproduce. No.
How dare you?
How dare you?
You do know that like trans advocates acknowledge that you need like a penis and a womb. Like you generally need like the same basic biology to make a kid.
Yeah,
right?
they'd have to generally agree with it because it's impossible without one.
Yeah, but the thing, a lot of people present that as a gotcha to trans people, but trans people already know that. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, you say you're a woman, you've got a dick, you can never hold a child." And like most like 99.9% of trans women, they'll probably be upset because you're being mean, but like they know, like they're not arguing against that. They know they have a penis. They know they don't have a womb. It's fine. They're just a woman who doesn't have those things. There are cisgender women who don't have wombs. I mean, that is a thing. Like for various reasons, their womb can be barren or it has to be removed surgically. And like they're still women after it. Like they're still at the end of the day women. You wouldn't look at a woman with a barren womb and go like, you're less of a woman. I guess some people do that, but I think that's a pretty shitty thing to do. I don't know.
No, it's not that. But if you took a cell culture, even of one of those men who have fallopian tubes allegedly or whatever, you took a cell culture of one of those guys and you took it to a laboratory to any scientist the same ones that say life begins at conception, they'd look at it under a microscope and they'd say, oh, this is the cell structure of, this is a male or this is a female. They'd ever look at it and go, I can't tell.
If you're interested, actually, there's an incredible Scientific American article explaining why you're wrong. So scientists have actually been moving away from binary sexual terminology to describe human physiology, because it turns out that it's actually really, really complicated. There are parts of our bodies, for example, that can't be corresponded directly onto like a sexual map.
Yeah,
like
but I'm talking about blood. I'm talking about the way that they normally make markers and identifiers for sex, like when they need, when they need to do stuff that is unique to the human body. For instance, they have to know even what if you're going to try and turn a woman into a man, they have to do the male hormones in them, whatever. They have to know which one it is. So they check.
Yeah, but trans women don't lie to doctor. Like, wait, I don't think trans people advocate like going up to their doctor and saying they're not trans. Like, if you're a trans woman, you should be forthcoming with that to your medical, whatever medical professionals.
Yeah, they have to, so you could start the puppet show of them pretending to be men.
No, it's not. It's wait, hold on. It's not about it's not about pretending to be anything. It's because trans people. You keep implying otherwise. Trans people aren't like these like monstrous shambling mannequins that lie to. Wait, hold on, please. They don't lie to like everyone around them. Most trans people just want to like chill and play video games and smoke a fuck ton of pot. Okay, when they go to the doctor, they're honest. Like
stab people in the head and murder them.
Oh, wait, what are you talking about?
Like they're all. I love leftists. They're magical. They're magical little monkeys. Are like, gays are kind of actually better than straights.
Wait, I'm not saying trans. Wait, please. Okay, so trans people are better than cis people in at least one respect, in that they tend to know more about trans issues, gender, and sex. But like you keep pointing this out to be like some kind of threat. Trans people don't pose any existential threat to like anyone.
I've never. You're putting words in my mouth, and you're absolutely wrong. I've never said trans people are a threat in any way.
Okay, but
you projected that though, because that's what you believe.
Then why do you keep saying stuff like, "Yeah, they'd better tell their doctor, or else they're gonna have to get lied on because they don't know"? The way you talk about this indicates you
believe
think
it because you know why, Vash? Because
what do you think I believe that's wrong?
You people are all Christophobes.
Okay.
Am I?
Yeah, that's why you
I am
do it.
pretty anti-religious. I'll admit. I'm pretty anti-religious because it makes people like this. This brain poison seems to correspond pretty heavily to religious beliefs.
So,
My trans friends have never been mean to me in any way, shape, or form. They're not a threat in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
You can't even imply that I even think that because you're a moron.
Okay, so wait, what do you think that I believe about trans people that like hurt society in any way? And if you don't,
I didn't say that it hurts society. I only said that it was false.
Okay, so you failed to defend that argument earlier. You resorted to tautology and arguing in circles. So if you can't prove that it's false, you certainly cannot, and there's no harm to society, why the fuck do you care?
Because I care about the truth that a man is not a woman and a woman's not a man.
It goes back to religion, Bosch. It's not.
This is because
that's false. I can find you plenty of non-religion people who've said the same thing.
When in life did you become religious? How old were you when you really got into it?
But wait a minute, Ben. I'm just going to say, Charles Murray, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens.
You're bringing up some wacky people.
Well, I'm bringing up atheists who also would say that the idea that sex is just, or gender and sex are completely
disparate. I'm glad you're on the same side of the aisle as fucking Sam Harris and Charles Murray then.
Yeah, no, I'm only countering you to say that it's not a Christian thing. I can find you plenty of non-Christians that believe it. That, of course, is another
but like
projection.
empirically, conservative values track pretty heavily onto Christianity in America. That's true based on polling. There is a correlation there. And of course, conservative views tend to correlate with being anti-trans. Like, that just seems to be the case. I mean, there are exceptions. I know religious people who are cool. Funnily enough, the most progressive religious people I know are all Muslim or Jewish, but it's been a while since I've hung out with Jewish people because I left Beverly Hills.
I'm a Christian, so the most progressive people I know who are religious are Christian.
How many Muslims do you know?
Vosh asked, how many Muslims do you know? I don't know if you heard him ask that, but
Two.
Two?
Yeah.
Are they all Antifa?
I mean, he does live
No.
in Tennessee. I
Yeah.
can't imagine
That's
a
true.
lot
I'm
of
sure-
Muslims
yeah,
in
yeah.
Tennessee.
Most
No,
Muslims
I
are
don't
going to
know
be
any
in-
Muslims in Tennessee. Mine are all California guys, but I'm actually very close friends with one Muslim. But they're both extremely moderate. But they are practicing. They're practicing but moderate.
Yeah, most Muslims in America are actually less politically radical than Christians and more progressive as well. So a lot of that is also the bias that comes with immigration, of course. The type of Muslim people or the type of Muslim families that are going to immigrate from like the Middle East or whatever are probably going to be more progressive because super duper fucking far right Muslim people probably aren't going to want to come over here to America in post 9/11 America and try to make a living here. It's probably a little bit harder for them. So, you know, there's a selection bias.
But still, these guys aren't going to marry a gay. Their parents would throw them off the roof. So I'm just saying, they're moderates, but you know,
A big
they're
threat to
way
gay
more- they
people
may
here
be
in America
moderate,
is
but
you
they're
guys.
way
You just
more
argued against gay
pro-life.
marriage.
You know, they're not like these woke liberal fake Muslims. They're real Muslims, but they're just not
What's a real Muslim?
not so tight on Sharia law and not so.
I mean, if they subscribe to Islam, they're real Muslims, right? We can't.
Yeah, I mean, these are devout, these are religious Muslims, but they have the moderate sect. And by the way, the moderate sect are hunted by the radicals even more than Christians or Jews. I mean, they hate.
What did
in
you mean when you
America?
said fake Muslim? Is what I was wondering.
Fake Muslim would be like, just like, you know, some rap star or something who just, you know, put on the pill hat and said, I'm Muslim now.
So do you mean like Muhammad Ali or something?
No, because I think Cassius Clay was a legit moderate American Muslim.
Okay.
I don't know where the line is. I don't know. I don't like religion. I don't know. The Muslim people seem to do pretty well here in America for the most part. They seem to be like a pretty well integrated group. Which is cool. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, you were reading super chats.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Go back to those. I saw some
yeah,
pop
do
up
the
a while
super
ago
chat.
that looked pretty mean.
What was mean about who?
No, I saw some that looked mean towards me. I like the mean super chats.
There are both. Yeah, there are mean ones towards both of you.
I'm going to try and get through these.
All right, go.
Gender originally referred specifically to language categories. It was later expanded in the 50s to include other cultural things. The attempt to conflate its meaning with sexual occurred later, according to Dionysus.
Wait, can you repeat the beginning of that?
Gender originally referred specifically to language categories. It was later expanded in the 50s to include other cultural things. The attempt to conflate its meaning with sex occurred later.
Okay. So wait, I know enough about etymology to know that it's a little bit more complicated than that. When you use gendered language, like ships tend to be like she, like there she goes, you know? And then we say some things are he, and of course Spanish, they do more than that. The only reason that would ever happen is because there's some kind of correlation between characteristics that we affirm, like gendered or sexual wise, to the language that is gendered. So for example, what genders they use for different items change between French and Spanish. Like in Spanish, a table can be she, and in French it can be he. And there was a poll done for characteristics that French and Spanish people would associate with a bunch of mundane, ordinary objects. And it was found that for the French, that for both cultures, whatever they considered to be he, a masculine signifier for the inanimate object, they would say stuff like sturdy, strong, hard, rigid, so on. And if it was more feminine, or if they used feminine language to describe it, it would be like curvy, soft, delicate, that kind of stuff. So obviously there's an association between gendered language and characteristics we associate with people based on sex. The association there may have been fleshed out more like colloquially later, but for a long time in society, there's been like this weird interplay between the two characteristics. Yeah. Okay.
The male and female gendered languages were always tied to sex. So in Spanish, it wasn't just in the 50s. It's not like in the 50s they invented the word, you know, hermano or hermosa. It's like the female words, ella, you know, for a woman, they meant a woman.
I wonder
It
if
didn't mean what people believed were a woman or whatever. It was tied to the actual
Did
sex.
you know that in
your
Mesopotamian, the technical translation for the word woman was penis haver?
I don't know of that. I don't know of that. I do know that there's tricky things that they would do in the Hebrew and the Bible where every once in a while they would use a female gendered word to describe God because it meant that they were saying something soft and emotional and feminine about them.
Vosh, your background is in sociology, right? That was your main field of study.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really related to linguistics, but not, it doesn't overlap 100%. So I'm still a little out of my elements and stuff like that.
I'm kind of deviating a little bit because I would think, like, Doug, do you think maybe Vosh was indoctrinated by liberal universities?
Well, to go to a liberal university is
You went to a very liberal university, I believe.
To be fair, all centers of education.
University is redundant.
It's true. More educated people tend to be more liberal. That is true. Humboldt State, I guess, is more progressive than most. But like,
yes.
I got all my hard sociology points on the streets, not from my professors. Okay, that's my argument. All right, I got it from the streets.
Okay. All right. Next super chat, Streamlabs.
This is going to be really hard to get.
Guys, donate to the Drunken Peasants. Go, all you. Don't donate to me. Fuck you. Go, donate
well,
to
thank you.
Go.
And if you'd like to like the stream and subscribe, we could use that too. We have an old channel with legacy subscribers. If anyone knows what that means.
John Edison said Vosh keeps talking over everybody. Cut his mic. That's one against Vosh. It's one against. I'm looking for the ones against you, Vosh. Logan Gillette says, "What are y'all's opinions about Christian atheism?" I think both of them are stupid.
Christian atheism.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Sounds like when you put
sounds like another
Oreo
nefarious attempt at
sandwich.
redefining language to destroy the white Christian males in
This came from the atheist movement in the UK, and Charles Murray's another one of those guys who wrote The Madness of Crowds. They call themselves Christian atheists because they don't believe in the Christianity of Jesus Christ or anything, but they're atheists that are not willing to say that Christianity is bad, and they believe that for the West to survive, there has to be some form of religion, some form of Christianity that they hold to. So they're saying they don't believe in any of the philosophy behind it, but they believe in the structure in that they are pro the West.
Okay, this is the most cringy shit I've ever seen in my life. So basically, it's people who want to hold on to every negative thing Christianity has ever influenced in America, but they also want to be able to debate their mom about atheism and win. Holy fuck, this is so cringy. It's a form of cultural Christianity. This is so incredibly fucking stupid. Guys, if you're an atheist, do the fucking groundwork and learn how to axiomatically justify. Read some fucking year one philosophy, learn epistemology, and learn how to justify your beliefs about the universe without deferring to an archaic fucking set of cultural beliefs that you don't actually believe in, but you're only believing in because you like the cultural associations to. Holy shit. Yeah, this seems like something like fascist shit. Like there were a lot of atheistic elements to like modern fascism. Many modern fascists are atheists, but they still adopt Christian or Nordic aesthetics and sometimes even pretend to believe in it. It's really weird stuff. I don't know. I don't like it.
Go ahead, Bill.
Eric said fake Muslim.
It's okay.
Fake Muslim equals halal in the streets, haram in the sheets.
That's true.
Passionate Lobster said they aren't Christian phobe because they aren't afraid of their deep-seated Christianity, unlike some people. Javier Valenzuela said, Doug, how can I be a mediocre sack yet successful like you without any good advice? I'll assume it was your whiteness that got you past your mediocrity. Sadly, I can't use this tactic. Javier, I got to tell you, I think everybody here respects Doug for the work he's done on many platforms. To call him mediocre is like, that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen anyone crowdfund a comic book project like he does. Like that's that's pretty
You ever
amazing.
seen someone get 400,000 followers in 4 weeks?
No, but
that's because they had to leave the sinking ship that was MAGA. They figured they'd go to the cartoon guy that tells them everything they love.
So many. It's amazing, like how many people wanted a new Earthworm Jim comic, and it it's.
But I do agree with Javier. It really is just because I'm white. I just show. They backed the money truck up to my house. That's how it works.
This goes both ways, by the way. As if I would be anywhere near where I am right now if I wasn't white, motherfuckers. If I was doing this fucking edgy debate bro bullshit and I was black, you think I wouldn't have already been run off the goddamn internet by now? Okay, to be fair, that goes all ways.
I saw Derek, some black guy.
Got run off the internet.
Well, no, he was in our chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there, but
yeah,
what's up, man?
He got banned on Twitter because he made his main account a parody of Trump's account, and it was hilarious.
And by the way,
great joke, and they fucking yeeted him for.
What piece
I have
of
to
shit.
say this now, Vosh. I was offended by your take on beer. I'm guessing you've only drank American piss water beer.
Listen, I'm biased. I don't like alcohol much at all, okay? After 4 years of alcohol intolerance, I found one fucking wine that I can tolerate drinking. And so I'm coming off pretty negative, you know?
So have you ever been to Europe and had the beer there?
I've never been to Europe, no. The wine I drink is from Europe, though, I think.
They just have alcohol down better, I guess. But Belgium and Germany have the best beer. There's even like fruity beer from Belgium that tastes like it's soda.
Yeah, I want that gay shit, dude. What is everyone wants to be?
Night. Look at this thing.
That's great. Yeah.
Local Snowbird. It says it's a blend with cocoa nibs and raspberries, which sucks because I like bitter dark beer, and this one they snuck in the raspberries on it.
That's good during the winter. Like I went to Belgium years ago, and me and my friends that I was there with all drank this red beer called Delirium Red, and it's like elderberry beer, but it tasted like red soda. If you ever had like a red colored soda,
everything should taste like Mike and Ike's. I don't know why we persist in this delusion that life is better if we all stoically sit on our armchairs drinking scotch, okay?
How old are you?
If I am 15 years old, sir. If I could, I would just inject alcohol directly into the fucking temple of my head and immediately experience the intoxicating effects. Because I don't give a fuck about the calories and time and effort and pissing associated with getting wasted off of alcohol. But
you should probably just keister it then. That's the quickest way.
This is a communist look at getting drunk.
Yeah. But that's a good way to die. People have died doing that. Yeah. So,
dude, what about a butt chug like bicycle or like the cycling machines where you sit in it, you get all set up, and then you just cycle, and that feeds the mechanism, and you're like wasted in 3 minutes.
And you cycle it, and since you're not drinking it, you don't have to digest it, so you can just pump it up your ass, pump it back into the cycle system, and pump it up the next guy's ass, so you can share the same beer.
Okay, I was towing the limit of degeneracy. You pushed it over that limit.
Yeah,
I disavow.
No, he's the most degenerate person I know, easily.
Tall too.
Sometimes back before I got on this crazy diet where I haven't been drinking, I used to do beer bongs for donos, and I would do like 3 or 4 in a row where you drink a beer in like 2 seconds over and over and over again.
Jeez.
And just get crazy wasted. And that's probably like if you don't like beer, that's the best way to probably drink it. Now I covered the beer thing with Vosh. Now I gotta go over to Doug. We demand to see this Mothman movie.
Oh.
We want the Mothman movie.
I can't find a cut of it. I went looking through my basement for all the tapes, finding it. I couldn't. All I could find was a really bad version of it on like VHS tape. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's so bad that I don't even care if it ever.
You don't have the original film?
No, I lost that.
What was it shot on? Was it VHS
35 millimeter? I had. I shot it on the ends from Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil and Mouse Hunt. We got their ends.
So there's a town in West Virginia called Point Pleasant.
That's right.
And they had a disaster that occurred there.
Yep. Silver Bridge disaster in 1966.
66. Okay.
That was the year I was born, so that's what attracted me to the story initially.
A supernatural event occurred where a bridge collapsed over the Ohio River, and a bunch of people died. It's a weird story. It's an urban legend.
Holy shit!
So I shot it my movie in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Was that the bridge that was married to the lady?
Yeah, that's right. It was
oh, shit. Okay. Hey, hold on. Can you charge a bridge with murder?
Woman.
They were given a no-fault divorce, though. Hey guys, it's getting late. I gotta jump. How long do I have to stay on for? It's 10:20.
You can leave, man. If you gotta go,
Actually,
you're
Doug,
out there, man.
Doug, if you could do a 24-hour stream with us.
Actually, yeah, you didn't know what you signed up for.
Oh, That'd kill me.
Yeah, it's okay. My parents go to bed early.
I know.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm 54, but you make me feel 55.
You're only 14 years older than me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
You're
going
just
to
a
be
kid.
40. I'm going to be 40
We're
this
little
year.
babies over here. Doug, before you go,
I'm 26. You're all old.
You're
Thank you.
my
That's
kid.
true.
Thank you.
That's true. I wouldn't date a girl as old as Vosh. That's way too old. Me and Onision. No. Doug, before you go,
Oh, yeah.
you always tell me
Flirt with me, you're gonna get a grooming allegation thrown your way.
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
Before you go, Doug, you always talk about how you like to have like your cigar rooms and stuff and your little celebrations. What have you done to celebrate the success your channel's been having over the last month or so? Like what was your big celebration? I'm interested.
Well, we do a live stream every 100,000 subs, so that was one a week for 4 weeks. I did a 400,000 live stream was one celebration. I wear my cardboard American kaiju helmet down there that I built, a kaiju helmet.
Kaiju is awesome.
And then I'm gonna hire an assistant, so I'm celebrating that way. And I'm just gonna get, what's gonna be cool is with the money, because we've raised about 150 grand now. What that
You're gonna give
does,
it to DP?
$150,000 on ad rev in 4
ad
weeks.
rev?
In 4 weeks.
Oh.
So what that does is it frees up my art form so that if I choose to go and do some oil painting or do another crowdfunded comic, I have my art table is right there to do Bigfoot Bill 3 I need to get started on. But suddenly, if the book fails in some way, or if I come a little bit short, I don't have to worry about paying the bills. So that's the good news, is that the money's going to help me. When I have the bills covered, my creativity starts going through the roof, because I go, oh, I don't have to worry about, selling out and making a living. So suddenly I can be a lot more free and experimental with my art. So that's the thing that money buys me.
I suppose that's a good celebration.
So-
I was hoping you were going to say like a $4,000 bottle of cognac or something.
No, I'm not.
what-
Good. I got 4
How do you
kids,
feel
man. I'm
about,
gonna pay off some college.
Vosh, how do you feel about the meteoric rise of Doug's channel? What do you think that's a symptom of?
I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad you're able to fund your art projects. I too have artistic ambitions, though I am obviously not as accomplished of an artist as you. And I recently spent some of that YouTube streamer money buying a Cintiq, so maybe I'll be able to get some of that done.
Hey, I got a Cintiq right here too. Good job. Maybe I'll give you some pointers on it right there.
Yeah.
The thing about the audience also is I'm a mass media artist. And so, but my first calling is doing comics and putting on shows and animation, not doing a political channel. So when the political channel blew up, one of the shows did like 2 million views. I haven't had 2 million people look at my stuff in 10 years. So I'm just not going to walk away from that audience and say, guys, I have nothing to say here. I go, I'm going to embrace that audience. And a lot of them are the deplorables.
Well, here's the thing.
Hard right Christians.
Here's the thing about you, Doug. I honestly, I think you're genuine in your beliefs. I don't think you're making this stuff up. I think you actually believe this stuff. So no matter how much I disagree with it, I'm not going to call you a liar. I think you really do believe it. Yeah. So, and I can at least respect that.
So it was easy for me to do a lot of these videos because I'm not pretending to be something. Now I might be a little more of a showman, or I might clarify points and exaggerate them a little more for entertainment purposes and call names and stuff. That's not being, I'm not trying to be a careful debate or anything like that. I'm not that. I'm just kind of putting on a show.
I'm unmuted
for
now.
People like Billy's mom, people like my parents, people
she appreciates it.
I love putting on shows for Billy's mom. We do have a lot of common.
Yes. Yeah. Doug, do you think you'll ever make Earthworm Jim, but instead of a worm, he's a fetus that survived an abortion and goes around and saves the world?
I'm not gonna comment on that, but I will say
That'd be sick as shit,
my
actually.
next project that I'll be working on is going to surprise you. How's that?
I'm excited to see your work. I always am. I appreciate.
I
the
saw
work
you
do.
got that one thing. What was it? Some kind of
Yeah, Doug sent me an awesome package. It was.
I want one.
I mean, shoot! Everybody could have got one if they would have supported the Kickstarter.
Yeah, unironically, though, like
We have the
fucking-
Indiegogo open for maybe a couple more days. If you
Indiegogo.
want to grab Earthworm Jim 2 has just come out. Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 if you want. Get in there and buy it on Indiegogo because we're going to shut it down in the next couple of days. And those deliver in February.
Yeah, but you put out great stuff through that, like all the printed materials.
Yeah.
It's a real nice package.
Someone did say, Doug, that like you were kind of shitting on millennials, but millennials are probably a big part of your audience.
Millennials are like 40 now.
I shit on millennials like I shit on anime. It's nothing personal. I'm just screwing around.
But the cool thing about millennials is they love being shit on, and they'll pay you more when you shit on them. You fucking idiots!
Are you gonna
that watch
start an
this show.
OnlyFans?
The fucking idiots that watch this show need to start donating.
All right. Yeah. All right, Doug, you can go to bed. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Vosh. It was great.
Thank
hanging
you
with
for coming on. I
appreciate
appreciate
the interchange, and again, any way I can help you, let me know. And I just, it's all good, and I appreciate that. I feel like I heard you out, and you acquitted yourself well. And thanks for you guys for hosting me and having me on. I just feel like anytime you bring a 54-year-old man on your show, that's kind of a cool move.
Yeah, it's usually a How to Catch a Predator thing, but with you, it's different.
Next time we talk, I'll defend Antifa. I'll get you to be pro Antifa, okay? Well,
there you go. Get in there.
Antifa? Oh man. Antifa is an actual place. You get a membership card when you join.
Yeah, people
they
think
have
it's an
their own
organization.
country.
It's actually the name of a cave system that stretches underneath Ohio. You have to make it from one end of the system to another without any tools or equipment. And if you do, you get given the black gear symbolizes the darkness of the cave nights that you spend on there.
I want to mention something because it's a meme to mention Ohio on this show, and this is the first episode ever where someone else mentioned it before me. Because I'm from Ohio, so I normally mention it at least once.
Okay, going back to Mothman, that bridge went from Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio.
I've been there. It goes right over the Ohio River.
Gallipolis. We were wondering how to announce it.
I'm from Toledo, Ohio. It's like in the Rust Belt.
We couldn't pronounce Gallipolis the other night.
Yeah, Gallipolis. I wasn't sure how to say that.
I'm not sure either, but I know we shot footage over there. All right, guys, I'm going to go. God bless you guys.
All right, I love you, buddy, but not in a gay way.
In a perfectly Christian way. We do.